This is like the bad guy of sports talk. Big Sills, JAKIB, and all of you. By the way to go, Dale. Thank you for becoming a new member of the program and a new member of the channel. No matter what people say or do, it's the fastest growing show, fastest growing network, especially in Philadelphia. You know why? And get this. Remember something that Denzel Washington always says. Xander, this is for all of us. The devil don't come after you when things aren't going well. The devil comes after you when you're doing things right. That's when he comes after you. Always remember that. People will always come after Big Sills and JAKIB. It's a priority to get us off the air. By the way, we always start the program off. We are 16 days out to the start of the National Football League season when it comes to Eagles and Packers. Thursday night, you got Chiefs and Ravens. Always start the program off with Big Sills. And I got to say, guys, you've been hammering it and killing it. Please hit the like button. It's been insane. It's been absolutely insane. By the way, Battle Royale is back at 3:30. Mark Holmes, resident Dallas Cowboy honk, versus the legendary Philly 500. That will be at 3:30. So Battle Royale today is back here on the National Football Show with Big Sills. How you doing? Hey, Prince, you leave it to me, babe. I'll handle it, man. You hang in there, and you keep throwing your darts and arrows. I'll tell you what, Prince has become a Big Sill shit talker here on all shows. How you doing? Prince. I do love Prince, though, man. I will not lie. Man, I love all you guys, too. Abe, Eduardo. Okay? Welcome to the JAKIB National. I like it. Okay? I like it. Let's get ready to rumble. Love it. Hit that like button, guys. Oh, by the way, I know I can't play Xander, we can't play a soundbite from the press conference today with Jalen Hurts, right? We can't play that from the Eagle website. I'm assuming we can't do that, right? It's only 18 seconds long. Can we play that? It's national content. I don't know if I could play it, so I'm not going to drop it until Xander gives me a thumbs up, thumbs down. It's an 18-second bite, and it's pretty interesting. Maybe I could play it and not show it. I don't know. I mean, you can play second. Hey, I don't know, man, but there was a comment that Jalen Hurts made, and we're going to talk obviously about what the coaches said and what the players had to say today, and some pretty notable guys stepped to the mic today too. So, come on, Sills, we want to hear the truth. So, wait a minute here. I got to see if I could get Xander's approval on that. If I could play that soundbite, Xander, I downloaded it, and I put it on my own Twitter page at Dan Sileo Show, and you can hear it. And I wrote down the headline to this. I go, boy, made it very clear who made the call not to play the offensive starters during the preseason. Made it very clear. The owner called it. The owner and the GM. And the only time that Jalen Hurts mentioned Nick Sirianni was in that opening statement. The rest of it was Doug and Kellen. There is no question the owner did not want the offensive stars on the field during exhibition football. Owner made the call. Nick had no say. First, Jalen goes like this. Hey, whatever Jeffrey and Howie, Mr. Laurie and Howie, and then he said Nick, want to do. Can you imagine being a puppet that bad that you have to wait for your mom and dad to tell you what to do as a head coach? How you play your players? He has no control on how to play his players. I wonder if he has control of the roster at all in any way on who he wants to keep and who he doesn't want to keep. Get this. Crowley goes, I thought we knew this already, though. What? That Jeffrey Lurie made the call not to play the starters on offense only during the exhibition season, but play the defensive guys? I didn't really know that. I thought maybe the coaches had some say or Kellen had some say. Kellen had no say in this. Not even Kellen had say. Kellen and Nick didn't have any say in it. It was the owners and the GM. So if you have that much autonomy not to play your starting offensive football players during the exhibition season, what else are you making when it comes to decision-making on the team? Who makes the team? The owner is really involved with who makes the team and who doesn't? What would Jeffrey Lurie know about football? Just because you own a team doesn't make you a savant in football. Remember, most of the stuff that these guys have when they buy a team, this is their second business. Now, I will give it that today's NFL is different than it was 25 years ago when these were just sidekick deals that these billionaire guys had. Now it's a front and center business. No question. It's different now. So it's not so much the second citizen here. Okay? Look at Prince. This is what Prince says. This is pretty crazy. I mean, hey, when things go sideways, if they do this year, the owner's going to make the call again? The owner and GM need to stay in their lane. He's dead on. That right there, hey, Prince, that right there is part of my problem. We had a conversation with Xander Krause yesterday about this. Remember, we were pointing out, we were saying some things about how the owner and the general manager's involved in game planning. And Xander goes, I'm okay with it because we know that's what it is. Okay, you know what it is, but at the end of the day, that's the stuff that you do wrong. That's the stuff that gets in the way from crossing the finish line. You think Clark Hunt parachutes in on a Brett Veach, Andy Reid, Steve Spagnuolo meeting and asks them about what's the game plan against the Raiders this week? I mean, Sills, just listening to Jalen Hurts on Twitter, if Lurie and Howie are setting the lineup for games, that's a huge issue. That's what Bob Brown's saying. I believe it. The owners and the general manager picked the starters. He picked the starters. Okay? He picked the starters. He did. Okay? Imagine that. Doug Peterson was right. Doug Peterson was right. Please hit the like button. You guys, it's crazy. And by the way, I don't think Jalen Hurts has any respect for Nick Sirianni as a coach. It's Doug and Kellen, who he's dealing with. I think he actually likes him as a guy, but as a coach, I think he's been told to get the fuck out of the way, man. Get out of the way. I mean, hey, I'm okay with the owner and the general manager not having the offensive starters play in exhibition football. And by the way, they had no caring of what Nick said last year when Nick said, I regretted not doing it. They didn't care what he said. They bulldozed right over that. If they pick the starters, you know DeJean is playing off of how the draft call went. So we'll find out soon. Yeah, but once again, you're on Nick's side of the ball or Vic's side of the ball. I think that's a whole different world over there on that side. I don't think that the general manager and the owner give a shit about the defensive side. No, I'll take that back. I think they kind of care because they know they have to have some stops to win games. But it's evident that they revere that offense. They protect that offense. They coddle that offense. They pay that offense. So much so. I'm going to get to a point, though, that I'm going to say this, and I'm going to be fair to this. They have worked their ass off. They've worked harder this year than they have worked in the entire Nick Sirianni era. Now, is that from the owner and the general manager? I doubt Nick. But then again, Xander says it all the time. I doubt Nick says, hey, I don't want to practice more. No coach says that. Hey, you want to give me more practice time? He even questioned it in the press conference today when Nick addressed the media. Is that documented that we've gone an extra 20 minutes when it comes to practicing? You hear the players saying it all the time. I agree that Jalen doesn't respect him. I remember when Sir Ian was flipping the bird during the Super Bowl. So immature, Jalen didn't like that. No, I got it. No, you're right. I listen, I think the owner, I didn't realize what Angelo had said was really that prominent. That Jeffrey Lurie is hands-on. He is a hands-on owner. He has say in the roster. He has say in the game plan. He has say in whether you play the starters or not. Holy shit. This is why you're 1-3 in Super Bowls. You don't let your football people do football things. You run your football team from the owner's box. The Eagles easily should be, I don't know about the Vermeil era, okay? I don't know about the Vermeil era, but I will say under the Jeffrey Lurie era, that dude easily should be 3-0. Okay? He should be he should be at least he should have won the game against the Patriots. They won the game at 17. They should be 3-0 instead of 1-3. But again, not giving him any kind of shit for the Vermeil loss because he didn't own the team then. Okay? Here's Prince again. By the way, guys, please hit the like button. It's so sad what's happening to little Nick being in a relationship when your significant other doesn't love you back as to Hurts. Absolutely. I'm not, by the way, Jalen Hurts, I just think has no respect for Nick Sirianni. He never brings his name up any longer. You know, he was in front of the microphone for about 13, 14 minutes. He brought his name up once, and he put it in reference, not really referencing him, but more so referencing it was the owner and the general manager's call. He added Nick in because he didn't want to be a dick. Nick had no say in it. And by the way, when you handpick one side of the team, it just shows you that they're worried about getting guys hurt that the owner spends a lot of money on. This was my debate yesterday with Xander, was that, hey, you know why they don't play that side of the ball? All their money's there. They're not playing A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith in the exhibition games because they're paying them a ton. There's no other reason. There's absolutely no other reason. Every other team has seen some preseason reps. Okay, you're probably not going to play Lamar because Lamar's got to go through 17 games carrying a football team on his back. Now that they got Derrick Henry, that helps. But I mean, seriously, dude, there's no question. The reason they're not playing them is because they pay them a lot. Who do you pay a ton of money on defense? Huff, CJ, and the two corners. The rest of them are rookie deals of free agents. Look who you pay a ton of money to. Both OTs, a guard. The two wide receivers make a ton. You're paying $10 million to a back. You're paying $15 million to a tight end. And you're paying $50 million to a quarterback. You're spending a ton of dough over there. It's a $200 million. It's a $200 million offense. Holy shit. When somebody says this to me, hey, Sills, if we're in the top 10 in offense, dude, if you're in the top 10 in offense, that's a failure. You need number 1 or number 2 when you're spending that kind of money. There's a reason. Once again, this shows you the Eagles have to spend $200 million to stay in a conversation with Kansas City. Kansas City's not spending to it. The quarterback's not even in the top 10. And highest paid guys. He's not even in the top 10. You have nobody but a tight end in the top 10, 5, when it comes to his position. Maybe that guard and center they have. Outside of that, you don't. Dude, it's crazy. How little KC spends. How little Baltimore spends. Eagles spend $200 million. $200 million. You better be first or second. That's why the owner didn't want to play these guys. Because look what you go from. If you lose Devontae Smith or A.J. Brown, you go to Paris Campbell. You go to Paris Campbell. If you lose Mailata or Lane, you go to Fred Johnson. I mean, the seconds on that team, especially offensively, are not that great. Kenny Gainwell looks pretty good, but if Barkley goes down, Kenny Gainwell's not going to carry the mail for you. The entire second team is built on people that are dollar store dudes. You got to win. You got to stay healthy. That they are making that a top priority. It is more important. I'm not sure their philosophy's wrong here. It is without a doubt the number one priority that the owner looked at and said, I'd rather be healthy going into the start of the season than lose one of those guys in a game that doesn't matter. Okay? And this is probably why they practiced control-wise. Okay? What's most teams? Who has a $200 million payroll on their offensive side of the ball? Name me one, Nick. We're done adding talent. If by week 4, Howie smells blood in the water, he'll go all in on a trade. Dude, got to make a trade with a shitty team, but could be. I don't think he's done yet. I don't think he's done. Okay? I don't think he's done when it comes, because I think there's going to be casualties of numbers by the end of these camps. Now, you get to keep a ton of guys, and now you get to keep veteran guys on practice squads. Okay? Okay? I mean, I saw somebody say something. I've been saying that the dual threat quarterback is the new era. Just watch college quarterbacks in action. And that's why 9 out of 10 of the quarterbacks that play in the National Football League today are still throwing for 4,200 yards and 4,300 yards with more mobility. But there's no dual threat guy that's going to win a Super Bowl that's one of the top 2 guys, Lamar or Jalen. No, I don't believe it. Both once won 2 MVPs, and the other guys got into a Super Bowl. Until you beat one of those guys, wake me up. And when you're consistently winning those games, let me know. If Michael Vick couldn't be consistent or Cam Newton couldn't be, you're telling me Lamar and Jalen will be? Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson, maybe Lamar, but those 2 guys aren't better than Vic and Cam. And those guys couldn't do it. And Cam got to a Super Bowl too. Cam was dual threat too. Until you see consistency at it, and until you see guys doing that, okay, you're not gonna convince the room or NFL people in the room that the prototype quarterback of winning from the pocket is still the way to go. Hey, by the way, the salaries dictated. Ravens have the worst backup quarterback situation in football, for sure. Absolutely, for sure. Warren says, to be fair, bro probably win if Mahomes doesn't exist. No, because you got Burrow and you've got maybe Lamar. I don't know. Okay. And you've got Allen. You've got quarterbacks like that are in the game too that you're going to have to beat. Still, Mahomes has $210 million guaranteed his contract. He's outside the top 10 in salaries per year. He makes $45 million. He's top 11. We're not talking about guarantees. We're talking about annual salary. Makes $45 million. $45 million. By the way, Jay Brown, Tom Brady says he's the third best quarterback in pro football, and Peyton Manning says he's the second best quarterback in pro football. Hit the like button, guys. By the way, whether Jay Brown thinks Josh Allen is trash, Tom Brady and Peyton Manning don't. And I don't give a shit what Jay Brown thinks of Josh Allen when those two guys are calling him one of the top 3 quarterbacks in pro football. So whatever, dude. The GOAT called him the second best quarterback in pro football. End of story. What would you know? What would you know? All right. Let's move on. This is the last day of training camp. Have I changed my prediction? We're going to do that a little bit. We're going to do takeaways. We're also going to talk about coaches that had a chance to talk, and that was Nick Sirianni. And I want to start with Sirianni. Guys, do me a favor. Please hit the like button. Thank you. Okay? Still hasn't named a team with an all-pro backup. Let me think. An all-pro backup. Didn't Carson Wentz make an all-pro team? Didn't he make a Pro Bowl team as a backup quarterback? Who else? If Justin Fields wins, Russell Wilson will be a Pro Bowl backup. Let's see here. Wherever Joe Flacco is, I think he's in Indianapolis. He's a Pro Bowl backup. Let's see here. I could probably go around the room. I think Garoppolo was a Pro Bowl backup too. I could go on, but I don't want to bore myself. Hit the like button here. Let's get into Nick Sirianni's comments today. And again, after listening to Jalen's opening comments about Sirianni, it was kind of telling a little bit. He says they're working on the roster every day with Howie. Even Nick says it. Howie Roseman has say in who's going to make the team. Since when does a general manager have say who makes the team? How would he fucking know? He's a coach? What's he basing his experience on making a team? His draft? Man, I've never seen an organization where the coaches can't make the call on who should make the club and the front office is involved in it. Now, listen, it might be a new NFL that I'm not familiar with, where the front office and analytics people have say in who makes your roster. But if Clint Hurt or Vic Fangio is looking at a player and they like this player over that player, and the front office counters that with, well, we feel this guy should make the team, and it supersedes what the coaches are saying, that's flawed. That's a flawed mentality. Guys in suits shouldn't be picking teams. That's why your defense looks the way it does. I mean, that's why you have multiple misses on defense. You know, there's a lot of people, even on my network, that think Howie is really a great drafter. That's yet to be determined on defense. He's hit on one guy, I think, in Jalen Carter. The rest of them are non-hits yet. They have shown very little promise at some positions. And yet you're so ahead of yourselves that he is this incredible defensive evaluator. Name me one in the last 5 years. You want to go where he got the team back after Chip? Name me one over there on that side of the ball where you're comfortable going, that guy's an all-pro. Can you name me an all-pro since he got the team from Chip that he drafted that has made the all-pro team? Can you name me one? How many years has Chip been out? Since 16? 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. That's 8 years. He didn't draft TJ Edwards. He was a UDFA. Jalen Carter didn't make the Pro Bowl last year. Can you name me one defensive football player in 8 years that he's had since he took the reins over from Chip that he's drafted that's made the Pro Bowl? How about this? Here's a better one because that's a tough one. Can you name me one defensive football player in the last 8 years since Howie Roseman has taken control from Chip that a player made it to a second contract? Can you name me one? Let's think. Josh Sweat. I said in the last 8 years that he's drafted, not Fletcher Cox, Avonte Maddox. Reed Blankenship was a free agent. He was a free agent. Where is this guru? Seals, it's possible that working on the roster means Howie's asking the staff what position should be looking to get. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, I said Josh Sweat, Vontae Maddox, who else? In 8 years, had made it to a second contract. Guys that he drafted on defense. Prince, I don't think he sucks completely. I think Prince, here. I think here's his strengths. Once again, this is why I have a problem with him being involved in who makes the roster. I think he's great at this. Finding a dude that's sitting on a roster somewhere that's underutilized, but you know why he goes to the Saints? He goes to Tennessee. He goes to certain organizations because those organizations have evaluated those guys right. Joe Douglas is not, whatever you say about Joe Douglas has put some talent on the Jets. They've done a nice job of drafting up there. I think Robert Saleh's not the coach, but they've retooled the Jets. The Jets roster looks pretty damn good. I wouldn't mind making deals with the Jets. Joe Douglas knows. I'd look down on his roster, and I think that really played into Howie getting Bryce Huff. Okay? Milton Williams doesn't have a second contract yet, my friend. Angel, he doesn't have a second contract, and he hasn't made All-Pro. He doesn't have a second contract yet. I'm talking right now on your football team, not dudes that he missed on and let go and left. I'm talking about in the last 8 years since Chip, what players have made it to a second contract or better yet have made a Pro Bowl? None. And if for the contracts, Maddox and Sweat, that's it. So don't tell me about fucking drafting and evaluating on defense. Well, look at what they do. Do players still, do you like what you're seeing with this group? Yeah, I do, actually. I don't completely hate the Jalen Hunt pick now. I did. I don't. What do you make of Quinyon Mitchell? It looks good. He looks like a player. What about Cooper DeJean? I don't know. We'll see. Who else? The Trevor Keegan kid looks pretty good. Then again, that's Stoutland. And probably Jason Kelsey. Let's see who else. The Trotter pick looks better. The Trotter pick looks better. It does. It's very promising. I'm not just dispelling that. Okay? I'm not dispelling that. Seals, Howie and Laurie struggle with drafting except for Smitty, Jalen, Jordan, and Williams. Once again, I'm talking about defense. They overlook impact players. You're not wrong, Prince. I'm more isolated on the defensive side of the ball and why the revolving door continues to be that way and why, like Jeff Kerr said, even on Birds 365, it's a non-sustainable way of winning football. You're going to have peaks and valleys and ups and downs because the roster is massively changing on one side of the ball. And that's why the owner didn't want the offensive players playing in the exhibition season. Again, here's the one thing, too. Is his philosophy flawed? I'm talking the owner. Not really. Especially when that side of the ball's got to carry the football team the first 3 quarters of the season. I don't know if it's flawed. Okay? They've got to sustain drives. They got to win time of possession. They got to win field position. They got to limit the touches that the defense is going to be facing them with opposing teams. Because personally, I don't think that defense could stop Jordan Love. You're not in a position, in my opinion, to stop Jordan Love. You are in no position to stop Jordan Love. You have to get pressure. You have to cover. Pressure and cover. I don't think you can do it. I don't think you can. That's why I am not sold on this defense yet. Okay? Seals, they have nobody in that front office that understands defense. Matt, I think that's one of the reasons Fangio has been brought in, though. Okay? Get this. Here's what Toy says. Jordan Love ain't shit. Well, let me tell you something a little bit about people that ain't shit. I saw a backup quarterback eat your lunch in Seattle. I saw Tyrod Taylor beat the piss out of you. Give me a break, dude. I saw Kyler Murray run you over. I saw Baker Mayfield tear you a new one. I mean, he's better than all them guys. He's better than all them dudes. And they got a better play calling head coach than every coach I just mentioned. Matt LaFleur can call a game. Get this, 8 games for Jordan Love, 1 season for Jalen Hurts. He's played 8 more games where you thought he was great. Okay? Use your own metric. Steels, you think Davis makes the Pro Bowl under Fangio? I'm hoping. Okay? I'm hoping. How about this one here? Surgical, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Thank you very much, man. Guys, please hit the like button. All super chats go to the top 2. Remember, always appreciate it. Please hit the like button. Thank you, guys. Let's see here. 17 to 20% more reps in camp this year. And he said this, and by the way, he wanted to make sure that was documented. They're working harder, practicing longer. Great. That's a great sign. If you're not going to play in the exhibition season, you're going to work harder and longer. Hey, by the way, let me concede something here. Prince, could you think this could be? Nick said this. Okay, if you guys aren't going to play the starters, and I'm going to give Nick some love here. Or how about this? I may even throw this out to you. What if Nick went to the coaches and then he got their feedback and then he went to ownership and he went to Howie and said this, okay, if you guys are not going to play in the exhibition season, and this was predetermined going into camp, I think that decision was predetermined. Nick said this, well, we at least have to work longer, a little bit longer and a little bit harder. And that's why the camps have been longer and more difficult. Could he have said that? Yeah. Yeah, I do. I do. Hey, Prince, I'll take Jordan Love over Hurts. Okay? Any day. All that being said, we'll agree to disagree. Have at it. Okay? You take your guy, I'll take him. I don't know why you have to debate that stuff. You take Hurts, I'll take Love. I think Vic and Kellen pushed him to say that more so than him coming up with it. Okay, King, that could be too. Okay, that could be. Okay, that could definitely be. All right. 2 weeks ago, it was Josh Allen. I'll take Josh Allen over Jordan Love any day. What are you talking about? Sills, I don't think it was predetermined. If it was, the crap about the offense playing in Baltimore wouldn't have happened. Okay. Yeah, but I think that was all, So wait a minute. You kept your offense out because it was raining? I think he lied. Bob, since when don't you play a football team in the rain? You don't play in the rain in Philly? I mean, Bob, right? I think Sirianni lied about that weather bullshit because the defense played. He kept the team off the field. It's football, dude. You play outdoors, don't you? I mean, I think he lied. Came up with an excuse, the same way he did in Seattle. He's the perfect head coach for Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman. This guy's perfect. The cover for him at all. Get this, that's why he asked the question. Really, 17 to 20% more reps this camp? Looked over at Bob Lang to make sure that was a fact, and it was. Okay? Thank you, Nasty Beats. Means a lot. I'm an Eagle fan, but you have to admit Love was great. He went into Dallas in the postseason, crapped all over them, ate him up, and tore him a new one. In his first postseason action, he destroyed the Cowboys. I mean, I can't believe how good that guy looks now under Matt LaFleur. Dude, I had massive question marks about him at the beginning of the season, but Matt LaFleur kept going. You know what? He did the thing that he told me. Tony Dungy told me about how coaches see things. Coaches don't see records. They see improvement of players. Okay? Impressive coaching. Matt LaFleur can coach his ass off. That's a really good play calling head coach. Then again, the Packers, the last coaches they've had have all been successful. I mean, Mike McCarthy, Mike Holmgren, now Matt LaFleur. Why is that? Well, they develop quarterbacks, not receivers in Green Bay. The quarterbacks develop receivers in Green Bay. That's the fundamental way you do it. And that's why Green Bay is consistently in the room and around the rim when it comes to being the better teams in the NFC. Why? They develop the quarterback who develops the wideout. Wideouts don't develop quarterbacks. Green Bay has never acquired a wide receiver to make a quarterback better. And they've had two guys that are going to Canton. You think there's a coincidence to that? They have never had a wide receiver develop one quarterback. And in the last 34 years, 97% of the snaps have been taken by three dudes. And the rest of the wide receivers, they've drafted two guys in the first round at wideout in the last 40 years. They don't draft wide receivers in the first round in Green Bay. Devontae Adams was a second rounder. Okay? No coincidence. Why do they only have 2 Super Bowls in the last 34 years? Well, why do you only have one in the last 31 years? Let's use your metric. Why do you only have one? Devontae Adams is a second-round pick. Hit the like button here. Here's Sirianni talking. He says somebody really asked him a really difficult question. I couldn't believe it. Okay? I could not believe it. He said the same thing. He goes, somebody asked him about his maturity as a head coach. I'm paraphrasing it. And he says that, and somebody said, Jeffrey Lurie is saying that he thinks Nick Sirianni is going to find his sweet spot this year. And Nick has worked at it. He's working on his bedside manner. Okay? I'm not going to kill him for this. This is a good thing. Okay? This is a good thing. He's working on it. That's all you can ask him to do. Okay? Being more mature on the sidelines. Maturity was brought up. I think that's a great thing. He's trying to improve. He read some self-help books, he said, in the offseason, Nick Sirianni, to try to control his emotions on the sideline. I don't want his emotions to be completely taken out of his sideline and bedside manner. They also made the quarterback sit and learn first. They made the quarterback, okay, I got it. They also made the quarterback sit and learn first. Yeah, Favre sat up there for a little bit when he came up from Atlanta. Let's always remember, Favre was a trade that Bob Wolf made, or Ron Wolf made. And Brett Favre was a second rounder. And Atlanta had taken him, and then they traded him to Green Bay. And that's how they got Favre. It was in an Atlanta trade. He wasn't drafted initially by the Green Bay Packers. That was a Ron Wolf move that brought him up from Atlanta when Jerry Glanville was the head coach of the Falcons. And he looked over at the guy wearing number 4, called him Favre, and said, hey, you know what NFL means, Favre? Not for long. Well, rest is history. So, says he wants to win all the preseason games. He says his behavior on the sidelines, he's working on it. Had some self-reflection this past offseason. Obviously, you can hear it. And that's as honest as I've ever heard him talk. Actually, I like it. No hall passes here, but hey, asked the question, he answered it honestly, which is rare for him. Hey, I'm working on being a better head coach. I'm working on communication. I really do believe now that there was a communication issue between Jalen Hurts. And you know what I think it is? Guys, tell me if you agree. I personally think that Nick Sirianni was too immature for Jalen Hurts to deal with. And he didn't want to deal with that any longer. And that was the rub. He felt, in my opinion, that he felt that Nick Sirianni was too immature. And for Sirianni to be talking about his maturity on the sidelines at a press conference today, I thought was telling. Jalen is a really serious man about football. He takes that game. Would you not agree? Okay? Would you not agree? He takes that game as serious as anything in his life. And when you got a coach on a sideline who's acting like a fucking kid, that's not going to go well with him. And I think that rubbed his ass wrong. And by the way, I don't think he hates Nick. I just don't think, once again, he respects Nick. Now, Nick's got a long way to go to earn Jalen Hurts' trust back again. Okay? What's his name says what? It is his life. No, it's not. He's a reflection of his team, guy. When you're the head coach of a football team, it ain't about you. It's about your team. You do what's in the best interest of the team, not yourself. And if acting like a fool on the sidelines is something you have to control, That's a you thing. Okay? And by the way, to circle back, him working on it, the only way we're going to find out if the things he did in the offseason, the reading, the self-reflecting, the only way we're going to know is when adversity hits. He even mentioned that. It's what you do with adversity. By the way, Hurts mentions this. Hurts mentions this. Okay? Hurts, we're going to get to Jalen. By the way, guys, please hit the like button. Here's Sirianni still. The roster is definitely being evolved right now, especially with today's final practice, too. They had a long one today. Sirianni said Hurts has been outstanding, complete control of the offense during camp. He's taken what the defense gives him, and you're seeing a much smarter quarterback. That's such an indictment on him in last year and how it was his offense. Jalen Hurts has grown more in this one offseason than he did the entire 2023 season under Kellen Moore. Jalen Hurts is moving forward again. Last year, he was stumbling. And coaches helping him, putting him in positions to win. Wait, you don't think Patrick Mahomes is being taught something new or evolving every year with Andy Reid? Or Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love won't be evolving? Every year you're with a play caller, you evolve with each other. Hurts has had these in and out coordinators. It's been difficult on him. Okay? Evolving the offense. You know the one thing that Nick was exposed on? He didn't know how to evolve the offense, and he had no answers a year ago. And Kellen Moore was brought in just by listening to the players. You can hear them. Dude, once again, listening to reporters talking is so obnoxious. Listening to the players talk is great. It's great. By the way, once again, he's self-reflecting on his behavior on the sidelines and his communication skills. Okay. Can you get better at that? I believe you can. Remember something that Nick Sirianni has to do. Nick Sirianni has to control his temper, control his maturity, answer to Howie and Jeffrey, be able to balance the fact that he has no power in the offense and still look like a head coach. And still at the bottom, and most important thing, he's got to win. He's got quite a task ahead of him. Okay? He has got to really be focused this year. He's got a lot of mouths to feed. He's got to feed the owner, the GM, the coordinators, most importantly, the team. And all this is going to be a reflection on whether or not he's retained as head coach at the end of the season. And Prince is right. Like I'm talking about a 12-year-old. That's why I said it last year. He's unbecoming of a head coach. When you got a coach up there talking about his maturity, how many times have you ever heard a great coach talking about his maturity and self-reflecting? Coaches don't talk like that. He said that the defense and the defensive style, he likes the fact that Vic is a straight shooter kind of guy. He says the players seemingly are taken to it. Isn't it crazy how the Eagle players let me put this out there too. You know why the Eagle players are taken to Vic? Why do you think the Eagle players are taking to Vic Fangio better than the Miami Dolphin players took to him? What would you think about that? What do you think is the difference between Miami Vic Fangio and Philadelphia Vic Fangio so far? What do you think the difference is? Okay. What do you think the complete difference is? You got it, Jack. A young player, you know how you become a good coach? If that young player looks at that coach and goes like this, I think that guy can make me better. Instead of having preconceived notions like Xavier Howard or Jalen Ramsey, those two guys never thought Vic could make them better. But when you got guys like Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Jeremiah Trotter, Nolan Smith, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, and you got all these young players, they're going to look at him and his resume and the shit he's doing in camp and go like this, I think this guy can make me better. That's youth. The difference between the Eagles and the Dolphins is completely youth. Vic likes veterans, but connects better with youth people. Because there's not a set preconceived notion on what it takes to get better. That's why I give Darius Slay a lot of love. He's bought into it. Now, when you're in the back nine of your career, you're going to buy into anything, especially when you're making $10 million. But still, you still have to have a buy-in. He's not going to be Jalen Ramsey and be contradicting everything Vic says like Jalen was last year. I talked to Armando Salguero. It was a train wreck last year. The players did not like listening to Vic Fangio in Miami. And I think that's a reflection of the head coach being a different cat. That guy is like a modern-day dude. And by the way, there's a lot I like about Mike McDaniel. There's a lot to like about him. Exotic routes, getting guys open. He looks like a really good savant coach. Okay, but I don't know if I could like that environment. It's soft. It's kind of Hello Kitty, like his backpack or his little plug-in car he drives. It's weird. You know, I mean, one thing I would say about the Dolphins, is that a tough team? That was one of the easiest games of the year for the Eagles a year ago. They pushed their faces in. I mean, they were soft. I thought that game was actually going to be something. Eagles had no problems with the Miami Dolphins last. They had no problem. They hammered them. I thought actually that was one of the easiest games of the year for them a year ago. Beat them up. That's right, man. RTM, I thought they bullied them. I think the Dolphins can be bullied. Hey, the Dolphins have to play in warm weather at home, but when they go to the snow or you got to go to a team like Philly and play them, they get their shit kicked in. That's not a championship football team. Hey, get this. That Miami Dolphin team might have a better roster on defense than what you guys do. You're far ahead of them. You know why? You're tougher. You're tougher. I would pick the Eagles over the Dolphins in a game. 9 out of 10, you win 8 of them. Why? I don't believe that team's a tough physical football team. They got a good backfield. They got decent O-line. Their D-line's not bad. Their back end is pretty good in the secondary. But do I think they're tough? No. Absolutely not. The Eagles would beat them 8 out of 10 times. Yeah, so I think it's the youth that's why they're connecting in Philly. Dude, when you're a young player and you got a really good coach and you know he's going to make you better, of course you're going to listen. When you're a 10-year, 12-year veteran guy and you have a new guy roll in and he's trying to teach you a new system, and the first thing you look at and you're like, this ain't going to work. I know better than that. That's not going to work. The good coaches will come to you and go, what do you make of this technique we're going to use? Vic's not that guy. He's not going to sit down with a 12-year vet and go, hey, why do you think Bryce Huff is in Philly and Hassan Reddick isn't? Hassan Reddick had a way of doing shit his own way. Bryce Huff is being taught Vic Fangio's way. There's the difference. There's completely the difference. He's a younger player that wants to be coached to be a 3-down guy. Hassan Reddick doesn't want to be coached to be a 3-down guy. Vic's not going to take time to do that. He's got more holes to fill and more problems to address. Hassan Reddick is not on the Eagles, not because he wasn't productive, because Vic didn't want to coach him, because Hassan Reddick didn't want to be coached. Wind me up and let me roll. That's not what Vic needs. Again, time will tell who's right. Time will tell. No, Eagle fan, Reddick's not soft. 90% of the veteran guys in the league don't want to change their game for a new coach rolling in. Let me say this to you. When you're a 12-year guy or you're a 9-year NFL veteran and you got a new coach rolling into your building and he wants you to do different shit, players are not going to do that. I know what it takes to stay in this league. This is your first year as a coordinator? Fuck you. I'm not listening to you. What would you possibly know over a 9-year veteran? What would you possibly know? I'm not putting things on tape that I've never done. That's what Reddick probably didn't want to do. I'm not doing that shit Fangio wants me to do because it's bad tape. It's bad tape. The more you get through this camp, the more you understand why Reddick's not on the team. It must have been a hard call, too, for them because they know how productive he is. Bryce Huff is not going to give you the production that Reddick did. I don't care what John McMullen says about him being on the back nine. That's bullshit. That guy had 30 sacks counting the playoffs in 2 years and was used atrociously by Matt Patricia at the end of the year. He started the year with a hand injury, and he still ended up with 11 sacks. Okay? Hassan Reddick was not on the back end of his nine. It had more to do with being younger, being able to be coached better. Musa, in your opinion, Sills, what makes Jalen a top 5 quarterback next year? That's a fabulous question. That's a fabulous question. What would I consider him? Here, Musa, I'll say this to you about Jalen. I don't think Jalen Hurts is a top 5 quarterback. However, he can have top 5 moments. If that makes sense. Like in 22, he wasn't a top 5 talent. But what he was he was one of, which made him elite, which made him one of. And was he a big-time passer? No, obviously not. Was he? But the entire package, legs, starts with legs, arms, completion percentage, no turnovers. Jalen Hurts doesn't have to throw the ball 590 times. The more he throws, the more chances, I think, unless they're checkdowns, and it looks like they're going to be. If Jalen Hurts has single-digit turnovers, they're going to win a ton of games. They're going to win a ton of games. But Hurts is going to have to use it. He can't be a top 5 quarterback with just his arm. I don't believe it. He's never been in his career without using his wheels. I think they're going to ask him to do that this year. He will not look anything like Musa. He will not look anything like 2022. Okay? He will not look anything like that. So you can't bring that up anymore. Those days are gone of him being like the dual threat. They don't want. There's a reason you gave a back $10 million. I mean, you gave Barkley $10 million. You never invest in that position. Why? because you don't want him running. You don't want him running. Seals, can Jalen be a big-time passer this year? Depends on how the checkdowns go. Depends on the checkdowns. Hey, Josh, these stats are all cute and shit. Wake me up when this guy wins from the pocket. Bob, Sills, you're describing players and coaches getting on the same page. That's the issue in Philly. Organization believes everyone is interchangeable so they can run through coaches and free agents. No stability. That's why the roster is consistently changing. Absolutely. Hey, you know what's funny, Niner all day? You bring those Purdy stats up, then they tell you Purdy sucks. I mean, they changed the narrative of the metric that they use for Hurts, but when that applies to Purdy, who's also got a loaded offense, he's not as good, and yet he's more effective and more efficient than any quarter. Brock Purdy was more efficient last year from the pocket than any quarterback in pro football. You know why? He threw the least amount of attempts, had the highest completion percentage, the most yards per play, and he won the NFC. There you go. It's consistency. Jalen Hurts has not had one consistent year since he's been in Philly. Is that by coaching? Sure. System change? Sure. Terminology change? Sure. Not coaching him correctly with assistant coaches? Sure. All that's true. All that's true, and here we are again. Okay? Okay? I mean, he's not been consistent. Musa, since 2021, it's been completely different dudes. So when you say, how do I look at really great quarterbacks in today's NFL? How consistent are you, man? Do you win your division? Do you win your conference? Are you constantly around the room? Are you a 10-plus win? Do you put up great numbers? Can you win from the pocket? Can you come from behind and throw your team out of trouble? My question is going to be this, okay? You know how you beat the Eagles? Get a lead on them. You go up 14 points on that team, and that team has 2 or 3 3-and-outs in the first half, Packers will be up 21 points. You know why? You can't put that Eagle defense on the field the majority of the first half. They'll put 21 on you. You can't have 3-and-outs early in the year. You cannot. So you're going to go 3-and-out first series. Check this out. 3-and-out first series. Kick the ball to the Packers. You think that secondary and that linebacking core is going to stop loving them guys? Never happened. Then they keep moving the field position down. Kick a field goal, get a touchdown the next series. You can't have 3-and-outs. You've got to have sustained drives like you had in 22. Get a lead on the Packers. Or get a lead on the Eagles. See if they can come from behind. Because then you force them to throw the ball. You get 3-and-outs and drops. Your defense is not ready to stop people yet. You're not ready to stop people. Now, could you be ready by week 10 like Vic says? Yeah. That's why when Xander says, hey, let's play younger players. Okay, I'm good with that. Better start compromising your wins, though, early. Better be patient. Because I don't really care about the early part of the year for the Eagles because the defense is not going to be ready. It's just not. So, offense has to carry them. They have to carry the mail. That's how Hurts beat Mahomes and Allen last year. And then Mayfield and Tyrod Taylor beat you. How do you go from that dynamic? Because you became predictable. You didn't evolve. It's going to be interesting to see Edrin Cooper. By the way, I'm glad you brought this up. Musa says Jalen has had come from behind games last year, Buffalo, Kansas City, on your two favorite quarterbacks. Right. And then he ended the season losing to Tyrod Taylor and Drew Lock. What's this over here? Senor, let me ask you something here. Senor, think Howie's a good drafter, right? Good deal maker. Correct? You think Howie's a good deal maker? Well, who do you think got the better end of this Pickett deal? Steelers got, for Pickett, 2024 third rounder, which turned out to be Peyton Wilson, linebacker, who's starting and has the green dot. In 25, they get 2 7s. Eagles got Pickett. Who won that deal? Who won that trade? Who do you think won that trade? I looked up because we were trying to go back. Who do you think won that deal? Eagles get Pickett. The Steelers got 2024 third rounder, got Peyton Wilson. And they got 2 7s for Pickett. I thought you guys are all now going like this. Time will tell. Wait a minute. You guys have been telling me Tanner McKee should be the number 2 guy, and that Kenny Pickett sucks. Which is it? Are you flip-flopping? Holy cow. Who's flip-flopping in here? Who's flip-flopping? Wait a minute. You guys are telling me Kenny Pickett sucks and that McKee should be the number 2 guy. Now, I bring up the trade that the Steelers got a starter in 24 draft, the linebacker, who's going to start on that Steeler team, and now you're telling me time will tell. Oh, okay. Interesting. So, you flip-flopped. Didn't you? You guys flip-flopped on me. Steelers get a starter. They move Pickett for a starter on defense. Okay. Not me, Sills. I maintain. Pickett sucks. Okay. Oh, Twitch, you didn't flip-flop. You don't think Pickett sucks and McKee should be the second guy, huh? All right. Well, then who won the deal? Come on, Twins. Who won the deal? Steelers or the Eagles? Who won the deal? Joe, who won the deal? Hate calling your shit out, but someone's got to do it. Someone's got to do it. Bottom of the hour, Battle Royale's coming back. Mark Holmes, Cowboy lover, and Philly 500 will join us at 3:30 Eastern time. Steelers won the trade. Steelers got a starter out of it. They got a starting linebacker that the Eagles could clearly have drafted, but passed on it. How you doing? McKee's better? Okay. Well, shit. What happened to your boy? There's a pick right there. And by the way, no coincidence. Of course, it's defense. Hey, man, Darius Slay. Before I take a time out here, I got to give Darius Slay, man. He's got a great attitude. Is Darius Slay an Ole Miss guy? I forget. I forget. Okay. I forget if he's an Ole Miss guy. Hey guys, please let's hit the likes. I really do, man. He got the first pick of the camp. I'm sure ESP, that guy Elliott something, was very disgruntled today that Hurts threw his first pick in camp. He's 12 years in. He goes, that's what I do. I picked off many good quarterbacks before, not just Jalen. He goes, I baited him. It's shit talking. It's okay. He says the defense is definitely really working hard. He goes, Hurts has been great this year in camp. He goes, the one thing that I've noticed, he's very comfortable. It's great. That's what you're hearing from all the players. Oh, he's a Mississippi State kid? Okay. Mississippi. I thought he was one of those teams. Thought he was Okay, so he's a Mississippi State guy. All right. I think Fletcher Cox is a Mississippi State guy. Hey, Robert. Am I right, Robert? Isn't Fletcher a Mississippi State kid? Well, they're both SEC guys, so. He goes, he's very proud of Quinyon Mitchell being able to play both positions. Nickel and over at the corner, he said, without a doubt, man, he's like really impressed with the way he's competing at both spots. He goes, he can play. Dude, you get a recommendation like that from him. Then you got Gardner Johnson talking shit to that Anais Smith on the sidelines. Players on the sidelines and veteran guys, you know what they do when they know you're not playing well usually? They don't usually do what CJ did. They don't say nothing to you. When you're not playing well, veteran guys won't say shit to you because they know you're not going to be there long. Now, obviously, he's a first-round pick, so you're not going anywhere, but it's still good to hear a guy like Slay who's got 12 in and talking about, by the way, I love something else he said. It kind of went under the radar. He goes, shit, man, I got benched by Jim Schwartz twice when I was in Detroit. Early in my career, I got benched twice. Even the reporters in Philly were like, what? He goes, yeah, just shows you. You never know. I like it, man. He says, hey, the youthful guys are working their asses off. That's great to hear. Again, another metric that you're hearing with your young guys, that they came in hungry and wanting to work. I love it. It's good. Nobody's sitting around drinking ice and Gatorade on the sidelines. Steelers won the deal. Any quarterback that wears gloves besides Teddy Bridgewater, because I'm biased, he's Louisville Cardinal, is terrible. Watch out there, disciple. The guy's a Jersey dude, I think. Got a lot of people from Jersey in here, man, and they love that kid. Kenny Flickett. He says, Kellen Moore. I didn't know this, man. Darius Slay and Kellen Moore were teammates in Detroit. So he kind of got a sense of what he does, what he wants to do, and how he wants to accomplish things. Darius Slay says, that's why I usually have some pretty good Dallas games when he was there in Dallas, is because I kind of knew his mentality and what he was trying to accomplish and how he was trying to get the ball down the field and spreading people out. I didn't realize that they were teammates in Detroit. It's cool. He said it's going to be great to get Cooper DeJean out there. He said one thing, too. He goes, man, no question. Eagle camp has been long and hard. It's been one of the hardest camps I've been through. That's good. Get old man Slay saying it. These guys, hey, there's no question they made a priority. Okay? Working hard and long this year. Kudos. Now, Does that compensate for not playing him in the exhibition games? Kind of, I guess. I mean, you're working. Hey, it's not like you're taking and calling camp like they did a year ago. They went all the way up to the final day of camp. They didn't call camp like last year. Hurts a smarter player now. By the way, he's picking up the blitzes a lot better. It's great. That's great to hear. It's great to hear all the great signs, especially when it comes from a guy like Darius Slay. It's good. All right, guys, where are we on the like list? We're going to have Mark Holmes, Dallas Cowboy man, and Philly 500, legend himself. In the Battle Royale, we will go back and forth. By the way, CeeDee Lamb, I mean, I have no idea why Dallas is doing this. It makes absolutely no sense to hold him out of camp this long. And now we're coming up to the witching hour between Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb. You know, you're looking at some of these guys and you're like, okay, we're at 138. Not bad. Okay, please hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
Heading down the shore, have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood days.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
They're carving them up and good play calling along the way. First and goal at the 6.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Win and save this baseball season from Colony Pools and Power Washing, a local company serving Delaware, Delco, and Chester County since 1970. Are you tired of looking at your green house? Is your roof, siding, deck stained green from algae and mold? Let the experts pressure wash your home and take the pressure off of you. Win with Colony Pools and Power Washing. Call them now at 302-762-2250. That's 302-762-2250.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
EAGLES, Eagles.
I just got a little bit of a tidbit here. Big Sales National Football Show. Please hit the like button. Mark Holmes is going to join us along with Philly 500. That will be here in a couple minutes. And here's what's been offered for CeeDee Lamb. I just had this sent to me. Packers would get CeeDee Lamb. The Cowboys would get Christian Watson, a 2025 first rounder, a sixth rounder, and a fourth rounder in 2026. Packers have offered that package up. Now, again, would Green Bay trade with Dallas that you put CeeDee Lamb up in Green Bay with Jordan Love? Whew. CeeDee Lamb, and Jordan Love, Josh Jacobs. They got a pretty good wide receiving core, too, and you add him to the mix. Wow. I mean, but would they do that? There's also a report potentially that the Raiders will move Devontae Adams and send him back to Green Bay. He said he would not mind going back to Green Bay. His problem, he didn't know what Jordan Love was. Now, if you're the Cowboys, I think you got to get a player back for Dak if you're really going to make a run at it. But you get a first-round type of player in Watson, then you get another first next year in next year's April draft. You can build your football team through that by drafting another wideout. Wideouts are going to be a heavy class this coming season. Here's DFW. Jerry will buckle and he will pay CD Jefferson money. But again, like I said, here is the proposed deal for CeeDee Lamb by the Packers. Lamb would go to Green Bay. Christian Watson would go to the Cowboys. 25, a first-round pick, a sixth-round pick, and a fourth-round pick in 26. That is the deal that's been put on the table for the Cowboys that the Green Bay Packers have reportedly put out there. Now, we're going to get my guy in here, Philly 500 too. We're hoping that Mark Holmes doesn't run because this deal, we just found out now that this thing ends up happening here, because why else would – the only other reason that Jerry would be sitting there and hedging his bets is because he's fielding offers. So let's bring in Philly 500. We'll talk to him about camp. We'll do all that now. Let's bring our friend in, Philly 500, and see if we can bring him up here now. Can we bring him up here, Xander? Let's see if we can do it. Xander, we here? Let's see if we can we bring up Philly 500? There we go. All right.
Phil, Big Phil, what's up?
What do you make of that proposal?
I didn't hear the proposal. What was it? I was playing around with my AirPods. What was the proposal? Mark Holmes for a bunch of chickens? What is it?
Wait till he hears this one, okay? If he doesn't bail. Packers will get CeeDee Lamb. The Cowboys will get Christian Watson, a 2025 first rounder, a sixth rounder in 25, and then a fourth rounder in 2026.
I would do it if I was Dallas. I like Watson, good player. You need a first-round pick. Because obviously Dallas is in win-now mode. They're looking to rebuild. We all know what they're really trying to do here. So what a way to start it. I would do that if I was Dallas. Then I'd turn around and I'd trade Dak. And I'd get another first. I'd load up on first-round picks. Why not? You ain't going nowhere. They ain't going nowhere.
How about this, man? How about this? I mean, don't you think that this is one of the reasons why the Lamb deal has taken so long here. We're now 16 days out from the Eagles starting. I mean, we're right around. We're 2 weeks out from the start of the season, and the only reason that you would be waiting on this deal, this is not about money. Since when has money ever been an issue with the Dallas Cowboys, man? I mean, money's never been an issue. So this has to be their fielding offers.
Yeah, well, I mean, it goes back to when we talked in the offseason about, remember, you brought up Michael Irving in the plan, and I thought it made a lot of sense. Dallas seems like they would like to blow this thing up and start over. It just seems that way. You had Dak Prescott under contract. You didn't even renegotiate his contract so you'd free up cap space. They've done nothing to help this team. It just seems like they can't. It's like they can't publicly just blow it up without backlash. But if you could set yourself up to go into the season and fail, then you have a reason to. It's like Major League Baseball, right? Made the movie. That's what, like, Jerry Jones is that chick on there. That's what he is. He's trying to blow it up. That's what I think, anyways. I was looking at their schedule today. They're gonna start 2-5, something like that. They're in trouble. They're in big trouble.
Cowboys are gonna start 2-5, you say?
I think so. Look at their schedule. It's kind of they got some tough games early. You got no CeeDee Lamb, right? He's missed off camp. So what's he going to report week 1? Well, how many snaps is he going to get week 1? You got to play Cleveland. That's a loss. Then you still got to play the Raiders. I mean, the Ravens. You got to play the Niners. You got to play the Lions. They're done. Stick a fork in them.
Let's bring in Mark Holmes here, and he bring in our friend. And before you get going, Mark, I want to.
Mark, where are you going? Are they putting you in? Are they committing you in the hospital yet?
No, man. Listen, unlike some people, anytime, anywhere, I'm gonna show up. Okay, so I'm on the road.
You have to show up. You're under contract.
I'm not under no goddamn contract.
You signed a 5-year
okay,
deal.
If I'm under contract, then I've been missing the check. I'm missing the check.
You have to take that up with them, but you're under contract.
Okay.
You don't show up.
As far, look, I'm just in the hey, I'm a glutton for punishment. I just come in here because I'm a sadist and just enjoy getting my ass kicked because that's all that happens here.
Mark, I have something that just came down the pike to Big Sills here. Ready?
Okay.
It's a trade for Lamb. Here.
Okay.
Here. The Green Bay Packers would get CeeDee Lamb. The Cowboys would get Christian Watson, a 2025 first rounder, a 6th rounder, and in 26 you would get a 4th rounder for CeeDee Lamb.
Good. That's a lot.
That's a lot. If you do that, then basically you don't sign Dak then either. You just say we're just starting the fuck over. So to me, Dak and CD they're hooked at the hip. So who knows? You know Stephen Jones better than I do. I have no idea what they're doing.
The deal's been offered, but the Cowboys, this is why the Cowboys have not signed him, is because they are waiting and they're listening and entertaining offers. Now, I think it's got to blow their mind for them to move him. I don't think they're just going to go, hey, here's a 1st and a 7th. That's not going to work for that, but they're going to want a player back because let's just say they do move off of Dak and they want to try to get Shador. Well, dude, you got to have something left for next year.
You're going to need to definitely move up to get Shador. I mean, even without CD, regardless of what Philly 500 says, they're going to start out 2-7. Even if that's the case, you're still. I'm sorry, 2-5 in the first 7. You're still going to win some games going down the stretch. The defense is going to be a lot better than what people think, and the Cowboys would still be a 500 team somewhere around the middle of the road, and that's still not going to get you up there to get secure. You're going to have to trade up to get them, and so basically, you're still screwed because either you're going to go ahead and get a quarterback, or you're still going to need to replace the wide receiver, and so you're actually in a worse position. At least in my mind. But then again, what do I know?
Let's move on here and go like this and ask you, Philly. If you had to pick one Philadelphia Eagle you think is going to have a great year, outside of Hurts, who would that be?
outside of Hurts or the big stars? Because I think there's a lot of guys. But, of course, Saquon, of course, A.J. Brown. I'll say Devontae Smith. I think Devontae Smith has a career year this year. I think he's going to have a monster year.
Mark, if you had to pick one Dallas Cowboy to have a superstar year this year outside of Prescott, who would it be?
I'm actually going to say Micah Parsons for a couple of reasons. One, there seems to be a little bit of a change for Micah Parsons after the Malik Hooker kind of threw him under the bus about the podcast and things. He seems to be taking on more of a leadership role. You see him out there running after practice with Mozzie Smith and Osa and Digazua. You see him being more of a leader on there. And I think the Cowboys' defensive front is going to be better. The way Dan Quinn is going to, the way Mike Zimmer is going to use him, he is going to be close to that 20-sack potential.
Let's go to this one now. Hey, Philly, did you have a problem today with Jalen Hurts saying this? I posted it on my Twitter page at Dan Sileo Show, by the way. Hurts was asked the question about, is he okay not playing the veteran guys going into the final? All good with Jeffrey, Mr. Laurie, and what Howie wants. And then he threw Nick in there just to be politically correct. Are you okay with the front office making calls on who plays and who doesn't play? You didn't want to play your offensive guys because of all the money being over there. You're okay with the defensive guys. You got a front office that's making calls on whether or not your players should play. What other decisions are they making that get in the way of coaching here, man? I got a problem with it. Do you?
Yeah, I do have a problem with it. This is one of the things that drive me crazy that they continually do. I mean, even if you look at the deal they have when they hired Sirianni, is that the last 3 roster spots on the final 53-man cutdown, Howie Roseman has final say. So instead of saying, here's a guy that's been great in camp, it's going to all be determined by the contract and what they're doing. So this is something, though, that they've done for a long time. It's like you kind of get used to it in a weird way, and I don't like that. But, yeah, I don't like it. I don't think they should be making those decisions. I think the coaches should.
Mark, how about this? Do you finally agree that the Dallas Cowboys are now conceding that Mozzie Smith wasn't the right pick with that deal they made for the Giants to bring in a brand new defensive tackle because they need to stop the run? And I don't know, man. Every time I hear them talking about Mozzie Smith, I feel like they're talking about a 5th rounder.
Bro, are you thinking that one defensive lineman is all you need for the whole year? Is that what you're actually saying?
No, I'm thinking that they've made a decision that this guy's not going to be the guy that they thought to be able to soar up the middle of that defense.
You are going to eat your words because, laugh all you want. This is all I'm here for is comic relief. So when I'm right, I want you to come back and say, God damn, Mark, you were spot on him. What they're doing with Mozzie is they're actually having him more of a 3 technique. They are working with him. Laugh all you want. That guy is the first guy on the field and the last guy off the field working. And that coach is working with his hands and really getting him to get his body in good position. What's going to happen with Jonathan Phillips is he's going to be the one technique nose guard. And laugh all you want. But see, here's the thing. The Cowboys had a problem last year of being too light in the ass. If you look at your Dante Fowlers, if you look at your Hankins was old, your defensive line, because of Dan Quinn's philosophy, was having guys that are pass rushers. Mozzie was never a pass rusher in college. He was a run stopper. And so what they're getting is they've evolved that defensive line to bigger personnel, and they're going to have a rotation in there. One great defensive lineman, that's not enough. Come on.
Mark's hypocrisy knows no bounds.
How about this, Mark? Are you on your way to the Improv in Dallas? Is that what you're doing when you make proclamations like Lazy Smith is going to be a guy that I'm going to eat my words on. You must be the opening act for your favorite comedian, Joe Rogan. That's a shot. It's all good. Hey.
Okay. I hear you talking.
Hey, wait. No, I mean, you must be playing the comedy club, dude. You know that guy has not shown one bit of promise yet.
It was one season, bro.
Jordan Davis did not play well his rookie year, and I watched him, and I still would go like this. Hey, okay, he's still a first-rounder. I look at Mozzie Smith, and you know what I think? He's a turd. Hey, Philly. He's a turd.
I love his excuses for Mozzie. You can't mess with Mozzie Smith. You know that's Mark's second child. Well, Dak's his first child. That's his firstborn. But Mozzie is quickly becoming his second child because every other video now, besides if it's not about Dak, it's about Mozzie Smith. But all the things that he brings up about Mozzie Smith, and he's a run guy, he's not a pass rusher. These are the same things that he trashed Jordan Davis about, that he had no problem complaining about. But now it's okay because it's Mozzie Smith. Both were first-round picks. So I hold them to the same standard. Yeah, Mark's full of it.
Oh, man. Ooh. Dude, 5 wins. Dude, you have the worst running back room in the league. Everyone is saying it. The worst running back room in the league you have.
And when the Cowboys are better than the Eagles this season, I don't want you to be like typical Eagle fans that don't show up, okay? When the Cowboys play well this year, come back and say, I was wrong. I was wrong.
Mark thinks CeeDee Lamb. He said CeeDee Lamb's having 2,000 yards this year.
He thinks who?
No.
2,000 yards.
No, this is how crazy. See, this is how you take stuff out of context.
He said 2,000 yards, Mozzie.
Listen to me. When Stephen Jones says he wants to see, after they pay CeeDee Lamb, have 12 to 15 touches, if you work out the numbers, that's 197 touches, which would be 2,500 yards, which would be freaking insane.
Yards.
It's not going to happen. But literally, herein lies the problem with the Cowboys, where Stephen Jones says a guy who was getting about 10 touches a game, now we want to see him with 5 more. It's like, dude, are you crazy?
Wait, Mark, I think there's going to be 3 receivers this year over 1,800 yards because of the way the league is and because of the hip drop tackle not being involved in tackling any longer. I think you're going to see a bunch of guys with big numbers this year because tackling has become a priority now with different ways on getting guys on the ground. You take that hip drop, that's one of the keys for secondary people to get people, and it's going to affect a lot of the numbers here. Speaking of numbers, Mark, I want to show you something here, and this goes to Philly and his boy Hurts. BetMGM, the most touchdown passes this year in the league, and here are the odds for the quarterbacks that lead the league in touchdown passes. Number 1, Mahomes, plus 550. Number 2, Dak Prescott, plus 750. Number 3, and tied with 3, is C.J. Stroud and Jordan Love at plus 1,000. You have number 4, you have Joe Burrow at plus 1,100. Brock Purdy at plus 1,200. And Josh Allen. At 6, you have Rodgers at plus 15. And also, you have Golf at plus 1,500. And then you have Cousins at plus 1,500. Can you win a Super Bowl with a quarterback that doesn't throw for 30 touchdowns in a season?
Yes, of course you can.
Name me one.
I don't need to do that.
Listen, I don't need to name you one. All I have to do is go back and say the Eagles became 1 drive away from winning the Super Bowl when Hurts did it.
No. That's that. But
so,
Philly,
you're telling me that he can't be in position to win.
I'm telling you, it's not happened.
I don't think
it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. But here's the thing with the Cowboys offense. You literally just said the Cowboys offense, as far as running the football, is one of the worst in the NFL, which is really Mike McCarthy's thing. Mike McCarthy is not a big run guy. That's the misnomer that you guys have. It's kind of like taking out the trash of being a husband. Nobody likes to take out the trash, but, I kind of have to take it out. And so Mike McCarthy's thing is tight ends and passing the ball around to the wide receivers and having multiple targets that are out there. Now, CD Lamb is traded. Well, you can go ahead and say, start figuring out who your next coach is going to be, because it's all going to go through CD Lamb. But you have to look at Jalen Tolbert that's out there that's playing well. Brandon Cooks is actually a really good one. And you got some other young guys along with
that's
Jake
not
Burton.
going to win you. That's not going to win you the NFC East, naming those dudes.
No, but if you got a better defense that stops the other team.
Okay, hey, Philly, why do you think that a quarterback that doesn't throw for 30 touchdowns can win a Super Bowl, or like around 30 touchdowns?
Well,
guy hangs around 22, 23 touchdowns.
Sills, because I watched the guy be one drive away from doing it. So
you think Hurts is better than Vic and Cam Newton?
Do I think he's better than Vic?
Was he a better athlete, a better quarterback than those two guys?
I mean, Vic is one of the best athletes I've ever seen.
How about Cam? Cam got to a Super Bowl too. Won an MVP.
Wait. Let me ask a question.
Here's the whole
Billy,
thing.
are you predicting the Super Bowl win this year?
You're judging a guy. You're saying that a guy that doesn't throw 30 touchdowns do it. I'm saying a guy literally came one drive away, which had nothing to do with how many touchdowns he threw during the regular season. That had nothing to do with it. So if you're going to sit there and tell me that if there's not 4 more minutes left in that game or whatever, Hurts don't go down the field and score, I don't believe you. I do believe a guy can throw 30 touchdowns. Maybe it hasn't happened, but I do think it's possible. Yes.
You're right in that moment, but this is why I think it's not consistent. Where you can't do that.
Let me tell you something. He's not going to be.
Last year,
he's throwing 30 touchdowns this year. You know that, right?
Last year he was nowhere near the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but so what? He was 2 years ago.
The point is,
when
you're one of those elite quarterbacks, you're around the rim all the time.
What I'm saying, Sills, is he was in a position where he was one drive away from winning the Super Bowl, arguably the best player on the field that game. So what I'm saying is whether he threw 30 touchdowns or not had no bearing on whether or not
he'll never be consistent Super Bowl contender with that style of play. Ever.
Well, I don't. First of all, I don't buy the narrative that he's not throwing 30 touchdowns this year. But if we're going to say just in general, can a guy win a touchdown without throwing 30 touchdowns? Yeah, I think it's possible. I do.
Is it likely?
What about you?
I think you got to be able to pass the rock. And going by BetUS, I love it because Jalen Hurts over and under is 21.5. Dak Prescott's 29.5. Yeah.
Great. That's great. Dak Prescott could throw 30 touchdowns. But
see, here's the difference.
It comes down to the same thing. What does he do in the playoffs?
Billy,
all you care about is what he does. What does Dak Prescott do in the playoffs? He chokes.
I believe he asked me the question, and it's my chance to answer.
No, I don't think so.
Now, you go through and you say that he was one drive away. When you looked at the defense that you had before versus the defense that you had last year and the defense I believe that you have this year are two different things. Now, granted, you got some great pieces and everything else, and you still didn't do it. For my Cowboys, I look at this and say, we're in the second year of this offense, which will make it better. And you have to understand.
The second year of this offense? You're in year 10 of this offense.
No. We got rid of Kellen Moore, and we changed a lot of things, bro. Here's the thing. We were number one scoring offense with a middle-of-the-road running attack. Right or wrong?
No,
right or wrong?
What's that?
Last year, we were the number one scoring offense with a middle-of-the-road running
attack.
And
now you have a worse running game.
Yeah, but our running game wasn't what got us there, bro. Tony Pollard barely got to 1,000 yards. We're not going to have as much a drop off the running game as you think.
If you think that your team's going to go out and be successful when you have lack of running game the way you have it. Last year, at least the teams were at least worried about Pollard. They were somewhat concerned about it. Yes, they were.
Tony Pollard.
Teams were.
Nobody was scared of our running game last year.
Pollard was good enough to keep them honest. He was good enough to keep the defense
Tony Pollard was
and the fact of the matter is,
to run up the middle, bro.
And now you have nobody's scared of Zeke. Nobody's scared of your run game. You're too one-dimensional. And your best receiver's not even in camp. I watched Mark's video last week. They're just crossing the I's and crossing the T's and whatever. He's going to be there soon. Where the hell is he? Sills, where is he?
No. Here, I have to answer a question because Prince said that means Josh Allen's not elite. Well, here's the last 5 years of Allen. 29 touchdown passes, 35, 36, 37. 4,300, 4,200, 4,500, 4,600 passing yards. So we're not talking about a guy who throws 23 touchdowns. By the way, Mark, the over-under also with Hurts is 35, 25 in passing yards.
Plus you can't just take away Hurts' ability to run the ball and score rushing touchdowns.
But your own team is.
And I'm not just talking about
what if.
I'm saying in the past. I'm saying in the past.
What if he can't run? Because you can't keep up being a great running quarterback forever.
I expect his running numbers to come down, and I expect his passing numbers to go up. I expect Hurts to throw 30 touchdowns. The biggest bet in the world is if it's over under 21, take the over. Because he's way more.
Philly, let me ask you something. Do you think Jalen Hurts was drafted to be a passer or a dual threat guy?
I think he was drafted at the time, honestly, to be a backup. I think he surprised Howie Roseman and everybody that he was going to be. I'm not sure what they brought him in as. But I'm sorry. If you think and you're going to tell me that he somehow cannot develop into a better passer, I disagree with all of you. I think Jalen Hurts can develop into a better passer, and I think he's getting better. So why do we assume that Jalen Hurts
where did you see him getting better?
All camp, look at him. Look at him all camp. Look at the camp he's had. He looks faster. He looks better. He looks more decisive in his throws. Better offensive coordinator. He's got a running back in there now that can play. He got a better offensive line.
You're putting a lot in the camp.
And he's healthy.
You're putting a lot in the camp and what Kellen is bringing.
That's all I can see.
No. I'm not disputing it, dude. Hang on here. I'm not. All I'm saying is.
What's funny? What's funny is I remember last year in training camp when they were going through, they were talking about how many passes Hurts was throwing without interceptions. And what happened last year with the interceptions? What happened?
Wait, say that, rewind.
Last year was everybody was counting every interception Dak Prescott had in training camp, right? And they were talking about how good Jalen Hurts, how many throws he was doing without turnover.
No, that's not fair, Mark. No, he didn't have a good camp.
No, he didn't have a good camp. Every training camp practice last year, he was good for 80%, and then it was he threw an interception. He missed the throw.
That's fair.
He missed.
That's
the throw.
fair. Okay. He did not have a strong camp like he's had now. And by the way, I'll say this to you, Mark. I'm warming up to this thing with Moore. I think Moore's doing a lot with this motion stuff, and I think it's helping him be able to learn how to find landmarks out there. And by the way, to Philly's point, I think when you hear players talking about him being a smarter ball player, even Patrick Mahomes says every year he's becoming a smarter quarterback because Andy Reid is teaching him more about how to read defenses. So I think you can become a smarter player by learning how you can read defenses. I think Jalen Hurts came in as one of the absolute worst quarterback progression readers that started in the NFL in 2021. Has he evolved into something better? Yeah, he's better at it now. Now, Philly's taken what Vic Fangio says is not real football practice. And because remember, those are teaching tools. Those aren't real football. And that's from Vic Fangio's mouth. 9-on-7 and 7-on-7.
I get that that's not real. I get that that's not real football. But if you still look at what he's doing and what he's had accomplished in camp compared to last year, there seems to be an improvement. So there's a lot of reason for optimism, and we won't know until he gets into a game. I agree with you, but I don't see how any Eagle fan can sit out there right now and not be optimistic that Jalen Hurts is not going to have a monster year.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem with Kellen Moore, though. Okay, Kellen Moore will have some great play designs. He really will. The thing about Kellen Moore, and we always talk about Dak chokes and everything else. When you get to crunch games, some of those really bad ones. No, hold on. Just see, it's funny is how you just poo-poo everything, but
I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
You know what? The wise person out there actually will listen to other people and actually
I've
think
heard
about
it, Mark.
things they say.
I've heard it
but no, here's the thing. No,
100,000
listen to me.
times.
Listen to me,
I can
bro.
finish your sentence.
The two best things that the Dallas Cowboys were doing with Kellen Moore was 12 personnel and moving the pocket with Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott was a great quarterback on the move outside the pocket. When we get into the playoffs, playing teams like the 49ers, those things just don't get called. They just disappear. And I think that it's kind of like Jason Garrettism, where kind of pisses down his leg.
Yeah, let me ask you something,
stage.
Mark. Let me ask you something. How did Kellen Moore do with Dak when it came to picking up zero blitzes? How did Dak handle zero blitzes because that has been a priority in this camp? Because obviously last year, towards the end of the season, teams were blowing him up he was the third most blitz quarterback, and he just could not.
Yeah.
Could that have him and Kelsey not been on the same page? Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But how did Kellen Moore handle zero blitz with Dak?
He was pretty good with that because, Dak, I mean, here's the thing that's kind of crazy is I think about how with our offensive line has been constantly evolving and changing. Beyond literally getting pushed literally in his lap. But Dak Prescott, with him, he actually did pretty good with the zero blitzes on him. And again, the thing that helped the Cowboys even more after getting rid of Kellen Moore was speeding up the offense to get the ball in his hands quicker.
All right. I'm going to ask one last question.
I got to say something. I'm not convinced it's Kellen Moore in crunch time. We'll have to see, because I think that when you've taken Kellen Moore out of the Dallas Cowboys offense, this crunch time problems, they're still there. It hasn't changed at all.
Turnovers
Dak
dropped.
Prescott is the guy.
Turnovers dropped with the worst running game.
Oh, listen, you went out there a number 2 seed versus 7 seed, and Dak looked like crap. You can't blame Kellen Moore for that. So
hold on. Wait.
You're choking continues. Okay?
I'm not taking that because nobody looked good in that game.
Oh,
nobody.
Come on. You were looking for Super Bowl teams. Your boy Dak Prescott, when he had, listen, first pass it again.
He made
How come
CeeDee
Lamb
nobody on that team
because all the stuff
nobody
season,
was ready to
play.
Right.
Well, that's what you say for 9 years. Oh, nobody looked good. Nobody looked good.
Bro,
it starts with your quarterback.
Bro, as you're killing my quarterback, hold on. As you're killing my quarterback, what happened to your boys against Tampa Bay, bro?
My team was done. They checked out after
nobody
Arizona.
started the season with the Dallas Cowboys are a Super Bowl
everybody in the world who
like
never
they
watched
did
football
with
knew
you,
the
bro.
Eagles weren't winning that game. They choked. The whole team was done. Hurts included. They were all done. We all know
wait
that.
a minute, hold on.
Your boy
How
for
is it that
9
you
years.
You're
blaming Kellen Moore
and I
for
can't.
choking when your quarterback
I can't say that my whole team didn't show. That Micah Parsons, he showed up and played lights out. D-Law, he played lights out.
Listen,
Tony
when
Pollard,
you needed
he played
your
lights
franchise
out.
quarterback,
it was just because of Dak Prescott. Come on, man. Stop with the same stupid ass.
Okay.
Is that my guy has been to a Super Bowl. My guy
why
has played
why do
at
I
the highest
do
level.
this stupid
Your guy
shit?
has never played good at a high level. You got to take the medicine. Take your medicine.
Take the medicine.
That's right. Take it. You're choking medicine.
Take this motherfucker. Fuck you. Fuck you.
Hey, wait a minute.
Fuck
Mark,
you, man.
Mark,
yeah.
before you go, has camp changed anything?
Drink it, swallow it, that mother humper.
Has camp changed anything to move you off the fact that you think that the Cowboys are a 11-12 win football team?
No, actually, here's the thing with the Cowboys that I'll say is the Cowboys to have a successful season, we're going to have to thread the needle. They were going to need a lot of things to go right. You were going to need Diggs to be able to come back healthy. That's the first thing. And it looks like he's going to be ready to go for week 1. You were going to need Overshown to come in and actually look like a linebacker, even though he didn't have actually a rookie year because he was injured. He looks healthy, and he looks like an absolute beast. and you're going to need your 2 offensive linemen to be able to replace Biotis and to replace Tyron Smith. And at the moment, those 2 guys look like hell on wheels, man. Those guys look like absolute positive beasts. The Cowboys may have the great train robbery here, but trading back, getting Tyler Guyton, and then with that extra pick, getting Cooper Beebe. You don't see shit like that happen. So the holes that we've had, I think we've kind of filled them in. I'm worried about the depth that we have on the offensive line. If we lose one of the guys to start there, I'm still waiting to see how we look on the defensive front. But our secondary is nice. Our linebacking core is much improved, and I think our defensive line is too.
Philly 500, last day of camp today.
Yeah.
Are you feeling more optimistic about your football team getting to the NFC title game, winning the NFC? Give me, again, last day of training camp. Where are you right now?
I feel very optimistic as a whole for this team. Now, there is one giant thing I'm nervous about, okay? And that is I'm very nervous that we didn't play any starters. I really worry about that going into week 1 versus the Green Bay Packers. But overall, I'm pretty optimistic, because I have a quarterback that can get into certain games, big games, and I know he's capable of playing at the highest level, as where my competitors in the division, well, they don't play so good in big games, and that's like every year. So I feel very optimistic.
You think they win the East?
I think they win the East. I think Washington finishes second, and I think the Eagles win the East. I think NFC Championship game to me is like, if they're not there, I'm going to be upset. I think they should at least be able to get to the championship game.
Mark, how far in the playoffs?
Prepare to be upset then, Philly. Bro, you're taking a step back, buddy. Taking a step back.
We'll see. Don't just keep the couch warm. Keep the couch warm.
You can never predict really anything because there's too many variables. I think the Cowboys have the potential to win the division again, even though it is basically like the kiss of death of winning the division the year before. I think the Cowboys still have a chance to get.
Hey, you can't really count on anything.
I can predict. I can predict one constant. I can predict.
I can say that I feel good about my 8-9 prediction for the Eagles.
I can predict that December 1st comes around, Dallas Cowboys will choke the season away. Regardless of where they're at, they will choke. They could go undefeated during the regular season. First round of the playoffs, they're losing because Dak can't win a big game. And that's constant for his whole career.
Mark, where can they find you, Mark?
Oh, Lordy. Anywhere, anytime, any place on JAKIB Sports Report because I show up.
Where are you going? You going to
go to the Improv.
No, going back from the Red Brick House back to Northern Virginia because I got to take my dad to the doctor.
I hope your dad's doing
well. That's all right with you?
All good,
okay.
Man. I hope
your father.
I'm responsible for a lot of people out here, bro.
All right. My father,
give him an award.
God bless your dad here. Philly 500, where can they find you?
Just type in Philly 500. I ain't going to tell you how great I am and I'm doing this for the whole world. Just come and let's watch the football. Let's go.
You're not good. You suck.
I'm an evil man. I'm an evil man. But take your medicine today, Mark. You took it.
Hey,
right?
You guys are great. I appreciate it.
Vitamin Philly.
Bro. Don't let the Cowboys get on top because I'm going to ride the fuck out of you guys.
Oh, boy. Nobody's scared of that. Go sign your receiver. Go sign your players.
All right, guys.
That would be nice.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you guys very much, man. That was good. Dave, that was very good. You guys. Hey, I'll tell you what, man. The hatred for Cowboys and Eagles, it lives. It's a real thing, dude. All right. Hey, do me a favor. Yeah, Mark was going through a drive-through. Hey, look at this here, man. Hold on here. DFW. Eagles are trash. Overrated as usual. ESPN props the Eagles up like they're going to go to the Super Bowl. Don't choke, Eagles, with all those expectations. Woo! Holy shit. All right, man. Guys, where are we on the like list? Johnny, that was awesome. I agree with you. These guys went back and forth well. Maybe it was because I was better prepared. Where are we on the like list right now? Fantastic stuff, guys. Xander Krause is going to join us too, by the way, at the bottom of the hour, 4:30 Eastern. Hey, and I think there's a special Birds 365 up. Okay? Hey, Prince, I'll get to your dumbass when I come out of the timeout. Where are you? I'll get to your dumbass. He didn't go to the Super Bowl. Overrated. Overrated. Jimmy Garoppolo got to a Super Bowl, dickhead. Is he in Jalen Hurts' league too? Or Jake Delhomme? No, I got it. Sexy Rexy Grossman and Jalen Hurts have been to Super Bowls. What a group. Rex Grossman and Hurts have been to Super Bowls. How you doing? According to Prince, Dan Marino, who's been only to one, blows. Or like Phillip Rivers sucks. Okay. Yeah. Oh, I got it. Dude, Tom Brady said Allen's the second best quarterback in the National Football League. Prince hates him. Oh. Hey, I'm going to go with the GOAT. Hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
Heading down the shore. Have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood day.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
They're carving them up and good play calling along the way. First and goal at the 6.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Win and save this baseball season from Colony Pools and Power Washing, a local company serving Delaware, Delco, and Chester County since 1970. Are you tired of looking at your green house? Is your roof, siding, deck stained green from algae and mold? Let the experts pressure wash your home and take the pressure off of you. Win with Colony Pools and Power Washing. Call them now at 302-762-2250. That's 302-762-2250.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sales National Football Show. Please hit the like button. We appreciate you guys coming aboard. Xander, please put up Prince's super chats, man. I'm sure they're stupid as ever. Yeah, you know, if we can, you know, put up his stupid. He didn't make the Super Bowl. And Since you just said Jalen isn't elite because he didn't get there last year. Stop. Okay. Jalen Hurts is not elite compared to Josh Allen. You don't get paid by going to Super Bowls. You get paid by what you do in the regular season. Every quarterback that has been paid is not paid on winning Super Bowls. No one is, except Hurts. It's the only guy. Trevor Lawrence wasn't paid to get to Super Bowls. He's the highest paid guy in the league. Jared Goff has been to a Super Bowl. He's not paid because he took the Rams there. He's paid because he puts up exceptional numbers and he wins games in the regular season. Go down the list of all the highest paid guys. They're not paid because they got to the Super Bowl. So your argument was dumb. Dude, no. I said this. Jalen wasn't good last year. Okay. Instead of getting to the Super Bowl, I'll say he wasn't good last year. Is that better? Here. I'll correct myself. He wasn't good last year. Okay? That style of play is not going to be consistent in Baltimore, and it hasn't been. He's had 2 exceptional seasons, Lamar Jackson. The rest of them have been up and down. Why? Style of play. Even that guy has ups and downs. And he's a more gifted athlete than Hurts. Even that guy, a 2-time MVP, has been inconsistent. Style of play. If you're injured, hey, look at this. Why did Hurts have a bad year last year? I'm going to take what you guys told me. He was injured in his legs. Okay. That determined him not having a good year. Jalen Hurts needs his legs to win. I saw Mahomes win a Super Bowl with a bad ankle. It's because he beat the Eagles with it. No, actually, he beat the Niners, I think it is. Dude, if you think quarterbacks are getting paid because they take teams far in the playoffs, you're high. What's Kyler Murray done? What's Derek Carr done? What's Kirk Cousins done? What has any of these highest paid guys done, really? Burrow has a nice record in the postseason, okay? Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes are the only quarterbacks in the top 13 highest paid players in the league that have an over 500 win percentage in the playoffs. What's your point? What's your point? Here, Swansky, what has Burrow done? He's shown he's one of the top guys in the league, and that's why he's paid that. That's what he's done. Okay? That's what he's done. Allen's record too. Hey, I think he's I mean, Hurts is 2-3. You're not paid by what you do in the postseason. You're not. You're not paid. Facts are what this is not an opinion. Justin Herbert just got 53 fucking million bucks. What's he done? He's shown he's an elite arm and can play from the pocket. That's why he's being paid. Not because of some postseason record. Staying with Lawrence. Pick a guy. Pick a player. Anybody. Anybody. Okay, get this. Sue says nothing. Okay. Well, then why is he paid 50? Why is Justin Herbert paid? Because the league looks at him as an elite quarterback. He's third highest paid quarterback in the league now. There are paid because it gives the team a better chance to get and win a Super Bowl. That's right, Slagger. And that's what the Eagles are hoping on. I don't believe that style of play keeps you in the room consistently year in and year out. Michael Vick wasn't consistent. Cam Newton wasn't consistent. Lamar Jackson's not consistent. Jalen Hurts not consistent. Jalen Hurts has the most consistent thing that's been about Jalen Hurts since he's been a quarterback in Philly has been the fact that he's been inconsistent. First year, 21, 22, 23. All different years. Now we're going to have a different guy. Okay? Hopefully it's a better guy. By all intent purposes, it will be. He's had a good camp. Does it matter? Yes. Is he being asked to do different things? How in the world can you make an assessment on somebody that's being asked to do different things when he's never applied them in a game and think they're going to be successful? It's like asking a surgeon, hey, we're going to teach you with cadavers on how to be a heart surgeon. Even though he's never done a real heart surgery with it, then we're going to put you out there and go, hey, go at it. How do you know he's going to do a good job? Why? Because he was what? Practicing on cadavers? How do you know this? I mean, Sills, they had different coaches too. That's inconsistent. Abe, this all plays into Hurts' development, though. There'll never be consistent coaches in Jalen's life, ever, as long as he's in Philly. He'll never have consistency at that position, offensive coordinator. Ever. You know how Xander the other day told me, I have to be used to the way that they do business? Be used to this. You're never going to have that. He hasn't. How can you say something that's not happened and when you apply it to the reality of what's been going on in his career, it hasn't happened? It doesn't make sense how you make these proclamations on shit that you've never seen. Everyone is judged differently. That's not true. Prince, are you trying to tell me that the Jacksonville Jaguars looked at Trevor Lawrence and went, you know what? This guy right here, we look at him and go, he's a Super Bowl quarterback. Or do they go like this? This guy's going to keep us in the room. This guy is going to get better and better. They made him the highest paid player. Mahomes is elite. Everyone else is under him. And Q, there's nothing wrong with that mentality. Because really, when you're a guy that's delivered the game, Stafford, Rodgers, of all the starters in the game, think about this. There's 32 teams, right? Look at the quarterbacks that have won Super Bowls that are starting. Wilson, Rodgers, Mahomes, Stafford. There's four. There's four dudes. Four. Out of 32 teams. Okay? Four. Guys, please hit the like button. Thank you. Interesting point. The Eagles had a consistent coach with Reed, but devalued receivers. Now they value receivers and devalue the head coach. Pretty weird, Slagger. Pretty weird. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a course change in how they do things, for sure. If you're basing it off numbers, Favre, Rodgers, Stafford are supposed to at least have 3 Super Bowls. Busy, that's a different question. Did Brett Favre underachieve in Green Bay? Yes. Hey, Busy, let me ask you this. Did Peyton Manning underachieve in Indianapolis? He only won 1. Did Peyton Manning underachieve in Indy? Did he? He won 1. He underachieved, right, Busy? Peyton Manning, owner of 5 MVPs. Did he underachieve? He's 14-13 in the postseason. Rodgers is 13-12. For you guys to think that some of these guys, I mean, Russell Wilson's 9-7. Dan Marino 7-9. There's very few guys with over 500 records. Very few. Most are under 500. Mike Tomlin's an under 500 coach in the postseason. It shows you that teamwork makes the dream work. That's such a great, I love that. Forrest, man. How about this? Forrest, I'm going to say something here that really is going to say this to you. Okay? Sills, to Slager's point, I think the course change is directly tied to Howie not wanting a veteran head coach. Dominant players are not a threat to his position. Okay? I'm going to say this to you about Hurts, what I think Hurts does for you compared to a lot of quarterbacks. Jalen keeps you in the building because Jalen has a love for the game. And he's looking to get better. And he is a team-oriented guy. Everybody got better last year, and I keep bringing that point up, except him. Everyone got better. And even when they weren't playing well, they still eked out 11 wins. Hey, dude, if Jalen Hurts' worst year, and by the way, I actually think the 21 season was better than the 23 year. Why? He was learning to win, and he was learning to play the position. You give him more slack. I give him more slack in 21. This is how I would rank his seasons. I would go 22 best, 21 second, 23 third. Still, he threw for more yards last year. I think they stunted his growth last year. I think he learned more in 21 than he ever did in 23. I mean, you give a guy, by the way, he was 2-5. They made the course change with the coach, and he went on their way. It also shows he can evolve. Now, that's a good thing when it comes to this Kellen Moore experiment, where a lot of you guys are taking the practice on what he did, like Philly 500 and like Xander, thinking he's going to have a good year. Why? Because he showed he can adapt. He went from Nick's shitty play call. Hey, there's no coincidence. And I keep bringing this point up, and you don't hear it. Nick Sirianni is an awful play caller. He is an awful, with Jalen Hurts' style of play, coordinator for him. Do I think he's good with people like Phillip Rivers? I do. Do I think he can coach Jalen? I don't. That's why Jalen doesn't bring his name up. He always talks Doug and Kellen. He did it today. He made the point today. Every single time Sirianni's had his name on that offense, 2-5 and 11-6. Like I said, this guy's 13-11 as a play caller for Hurts. Thank you very much. This is cool. Big Sills. Keeping Jags in the room. What is in the room? Room postseason. Day 5 of my retina reattachment recovery. I hope you're doing well, brother. Thanks for helping me through it. Hey, Jalen, thank you for being part of it. Jalen, you can even actually make the point that you're going like this. Really? I just said that the Jags think they keep him in the room. That's why they gave him $55 million. Okay? Seals, you're missing my point. We're asking you, what makes a quarterback elite besides Mahomes? Everyone is in the same boat. Then Jalen is judged differently because he's got a different style. He's a different quarterback. Why can't you accept that? Dude, Josh Allen throws for 37 touchdowns a year and 4,500 yards, along with the 15 TDs. That's what made that guy is elite on every level. And by the way, when we're losing, he's losing in the playoffs, he's not losing to turds like Mayfield. You're losing to Burrow and Mahomes and Lamar. That matters. That's not the same equivalent when you get beat by Tyrod Taylor in a playoff game. Get this. Everyone goes like this with the 15 INTs. Even though he's thrown the most touchdown passes and he's won 4 straight division titles, and he's got the highest win percentage since he's been the last 4 years winning those division titles, you missed the point on that. You bring one fucking stat up about him, and on top of that, he's thrown for over 100 touchdowns. Only Mahomes has more than Allen. And he wins. What about the winning? Does the winning matter? I mean, the winning matters, right? Fuck the picks. How about the winning? Hey, fuck the picks if you win. Does it matter? Fact, Sills, Eagles losing the bums. He did beat a bunch of really good players last year. Look at this guy. This guy doesn't. Okay, look. I'm going to show you something else here. Senor, this is what Senor says. They play the Jets, Dolphins, and Patriots. Let's take a look at that Bill schedule this year on who they play. Okay? Let's take a look at that. He makes it sound like their schedule's the easiest schedule. Buffalo Bills 2024 schedule.
The Bills will play the Panthers.
Okay, let's take a look at this and who they play this year. The Bills, okay? We'll compare that to what the Eagles have to play this year. Now, they do have to play the AFC North, which is insane. And I've said it before, every one of those teams. Let's see here. Okay, week 1. Regular season. Cardinals. Cake. Dolphins. Playoff team. Week 2. Jags, they play in week 3. Ravens in week 4. Texans in week 5. Aaron Rodgers in week 6. They get the Titans. Seahawks. Then they get the Dolphins again. Then they get the Colts, who are a playoff contender. Then they get the Chiefs. Then they get the 49ers. Then they get the Rams. Then they get the Lions. Then they get the Jets again. Then they get the Steelers. What are you fucking talking about? That ain't no easy schedule. Jets have one of the absolutely best rosters in the league. It's a freaking, like he said, it's a murderer's row, man. Get this. This is why the record in the league never truly matters. You could be a 10-17, playing your best football in December. Then you take on a team with 12 or 13 wins who's limping into the playoffs and you beat the doorknobs off them. And you're like this. Don't worry about the September. Just don't get run out of the playoffs in September. That's what you're trying to fight to do. Hey, get this. JM thinks that the Jets' offense is trash. Okay. Yeah, wake me up when you got somebody like as great as Rodgers has been. I can't stand people saying that Rodgers is all of a sudden going to just suck because he didn't play a year ago. Dude, in the last 4 years, Aaron Rodgers won two MVPs, and he missed an entire season because of his Achilles. Can't do anything about injuries. And he had one down year, his final season in Green Bay, which would be a career year for most people. Now, I will say the O-line of the Jets is a problem. It is. Especially interior. Okay? Now, you're right, JM. Aaron Rodgers sucks. Okay? No, you're right. He sucks. He's no good. 40-year-old, almost retired Rodgers? You mean like 40-year-old Brady who won a Super Bowl? You could play longer in today's NFL. So, yeah, I do. Yes. You're going to see more quarterbacks. Shit, you heard Lane Johnson today talking about wanting to play until, or he could play until he's 40. You don't practice as long. You don't practice as hard. Yeah. Okay. Look at Twiz. Jalen beat Allen, and Tyrod Taylor beat Jalen. It's quite a litmus test you got there going, kid. Sills compared Aaron Rodgers to Brady. No, he's a better talent than Brady. He's more gifted than Brady. His numbers dictate that. 4-1 interception, a touchdown. Is he a better quarterback than Brady? No. He's a better talent, though. Always has been. Higher completion percentage, more the amount of yards he throws for. Yeah. It's like saying the same thing about Lamar. Lamar's a better athlete than Jalen. Jalen's probably a better quarterback than him. Things work out like that. Still, Jalen lost to Baker, Brady, and Mahomes. And Drew Lock and Tyrod Taylor and Tommy DeVito and Kyler Murray down the stretch. And Baker Mayfield, too. Well, Senor, wake me up when Hurts has one. Okay? Wake me up when he has one. I mean, an Achilles is a serious injury. You don't know. It's fair enough, Ryan, to say that. I don't have a problem with that. Eagles' problem is Nick. I don't think Nick's the problem this year. King, I don't think Nick's the problem. I really don't. I think Nick's working on it. To be candid, I'm going to backtrack on something. I think Nick may have a good camp. I think he's working on trying to be a better dude in there. Eagles' problem is Nick can't run the offense. And he's supposedly be an offensive-minded. Other contending teams don't have to worry about the old coordinator because the head coach takes care of that. That's Chris Long's take, that you'll have a revolving door at coordinator until you get a head coach that is a play-calling coordinator. Okay? Congratulations, Crowley. Thanks for being here. Thanks, Sills. I'm only watching college football this season. Oh, you should watch the NFL. The NFL is going to be great this year. A lot of storylines. College football starts this week, too. I can't wait to see what happens. Game day's absolutely sensational. Best show there is, man. JM says, problem is Sirianni can't dumb down the Sirianni has nothing to do with the offense. Zero. He has nothing to do with it. Okay? Nothing to do with it. Seals, Eagles had that punk-ass schedule last year. Dude, the schedule was hard last year. The year before in 22, it wasn't. Okay? 23, I thought it was the second hardest schedule in the league last year. Yeah, 31st, Yale. Canes and Gators. 31st, absolutely. Yeah, hey, listen. I think camp's gone well. Just listening to them. I'm going to get to Jalen Hurts, too. I'm going to talk about Hurts. Lane Johnson got to the mic. Darius Slay got to the mic. I liked what Slay had to say. They put a lot of the veteran guys up there on the final day of camp, and actually that's a nice job done by Bob Lane because he put the veteran dudes up there. Question, why do you insult Jalen to lift up other quarterbacks? Why can't you say that they're all great? Because they're not all great. What do you think? This is a communist show? Everyone's good? Kumbaya? Are you really going to tell me Kyler Murray's all good? Or that Allen doesn't have to win in the postseason? When you start comparing people to Michael Jordan and Tom Brady and Mahomes, you're going to be criticized more. Now, if we're comparing Jalen Hurts to Zach Wilson, criticisms are going to be lighter because the expectations aren't high. But when you start talking Super Bowl, why do you think we're critical of Hurts? You call yourself a Super Bowl team. Well, you have to have a guy who can win the Super Bowl. And you know what? That notion of you telling me, well, he was the best player on the field in 22 is so fucking irrelevant. It doesn't matter. Reality is the great elite guys play when it matters the most. There's reason why. Hey, so what are we going to do here? Mahomes got lucky 2 years in a row? Is that what you're really saying? The two best rosters in the NFL the last 2 years have been the Eagles and the Niners. And he's beaten them both. Are you really going to say that? Hey, Forrest, whatever you guys think of Josh Allen, Tom Brady calls him the second best player in the league at that position. I don't care what you say. I'm going to go with the GOAT. Tom Brady thinks Josh Allen's the second best quarterback in pro football. Enough said. Enough said. I mean, your opinion versus Brady's? Not happening. I knew it all the time. Even Peyton Manning says it. I mean, well, Sue goes, who cares what Brady thinks? So you don't care on what a guy says who won 7 Super Bowls, on how that could apply to Hurts and making him a better player. You don't really give a shit what a guy who's won. Don't ever say that to a player. Because if Tom Brady was in the locker room, every player would gravitate to him. Every player would care. You may not care, but every player would. Well, these quarterbacks that went number 1 get to the Super Bowl this season. Goff, Stafford, Williams, Murray, Burrow, Young, Mayfield. I think Goff has a shot. Dude, I'm hoping, I'm trying to tell you that winning in the playoffs, look at how much success the Eagles have had in the regular season. Went to a Super Bowl in the postseason. And in the Jalen Hurts era, they're still 2-3, still NFC titles in there, a Super Bowl appearance. No shit. Dude, that's not horrible. That's great. Okay? That's great. But winning that game, and the reason why we're critical, if you call yourself a Super Bowl contender, you're going to be criticized. If you're the Arizona Cardinals, you're not going to be. Do you not understand this? Patrick Mahomes gets criticized. Why? No matter what he does in the regular season, nobody cares anymore. They only care what he does in the postseason now. He's elevated himself away from all those other quarterbacks because now he's being gauged against Brady. And he'll be criticized more as he moves along. Guys are doing a great job at Birds 365. And I'll say this, I believe they're doing a special show right after because today was the final practice of training camp. And Minnesota's right around the corner. And then we are 16 days out from the Packers in Brazil at Sao Paulo. Ought to be pretty interesting. And I think Jalen Hurts really made some interesting comments. Let's go to our friend Xander Kraus, who is the co-host of Birds 365. You guys are doing a great job. How you doing, Big Z?
Big Sills, what's up, brother? How you doing, man?
Hey, man, who won the debate between Philly 500 and Mark Holmes?
I thought Philly 500 won again. I just think we're a better team right now. It's pretty tough to lose a debate when you have a team that's in shambles in Dallas and they're not paying any of their best guys, and the Eagles are really built properly right now. That they've been building everything up the last couple of years the right way. And we have a better team. We have a better team. We have a better system, and everything looks better right now in Philly, other than the valuation of the football teams, which fans could give two Fs about. So I thought Philly 500 got the win again.
What did you make of this, that there's being a deal proposed for CeeDee Lamb for the Cowboys here to send CeeDee to the Packers? Cowboys would get Christian Watson, a 2025 first rounder, a sixth rounder, and then a 2026 fourth rounder. Would you make that move?
What was the move? The Cowboys might trade him?
Yeah. That's why they're waiting as long as they have, because they're fielding offers for CeeDee Lamb, and I confirmed it last night. Here's the offer. the Packers have offered this. The Cowboys have not said anything on it except for this. Lamb would go to Green Bay. They would get Christian Watson in return, the really promising wideout they have up there in Green Bay. Then in 25, they'd get a first rounder, a sixth rounder, and then in 26, they'd get a fourth rounder. Would you do it?
I don't know if I would do that. I don't know. I think Dallas is going to be in purgatory if they don't make a move here. I mean, they're like straddling the fence. Are they tanking? Is that what they're trying to do here?
If Lamb goes, Dak goes. Before the start of the season.
I would agree with that.
I think that ends up working out that way. So let me get into a comment that Jalen Hurts made at the beginning of his press conference today. When asked the question, a media guy, I don't know who it was, I don't think it was John, asked the question about, are you okay and comfortable with you guys not playing in the exhibition season? And I know you kind of addressed this a little bit yesterday, Xander, because it's just the way it is. But it's even more being known now when you hear Jalen say, hey, Jeffrey and Howie, and then he added Nick to be politically correct, not to have what happened to him in the OTAs come back where he would not say it, where he went like this. It was a complete front office decision not to play the starters at all. And I think this was a preconceived notion going into training camp that they weren't going to play any of the starters because Jalen said, yeah, I'm comfortable with that. I think they knew the whole time they weren't it.
Yeah, I do too. I always thought that. I always said to John, they're telling you they don't know. I always thought that the offense wouldn't play. I never thought Jalen Hurts would hit he didn't play last year. Why would he play?
I thought he played against didn't he get hurt against the Jets? No. I thought he got hurt. I thought he played last year a little.
He didn't play last year in the preseason. No. So I always kind of knew that, but you're right. It does shed light on how much they lie when they're up there. And I try and tell people that, like, don't listen to everything these guys say. I know they're your team and they're your guys, and you want to listen and everything and take them for at face value. But Nick Sirianni lies at that podium a lot, and you can't knock him for it. Most coaches do. It's just part of the game, so you have to understand it. And it's clear Nick was lying the whole time. But I would agree with you that he throws Jeffrey Lurie in there. It just shows how much involvement they have from the top down. And we talked about it yesterday. I don't have a problem with it. It is what it is. That's our team. You're not going to change it. I'm not rich enough to own the football team, so I got to sit here and take it on the chin.
How about this, Xander? I took this for the first time as something positive for Nick. Boy, I'll tell you, I couldn't believe there was a media guy that actually asked the question, how do you feel about, your sideline behavior, your maturity? He even went like this, and Nick even answered and said, well, no, the questioner goes like this. Jeffrey Lurie said that you'll find your sweet spot when it comes to the way you're going to be in camp and in this year. And so he fired back and he said, yeah, I've been working introspectively and thinking about my sideline behavior, my emotions. And he said, yeah, I'm working on communicating better. I'm working on, I'm not going to be not passionate, but I'm also going to be understanding that his behavior on the sideline, he said he's working on it. It sounds like you're talking about a 12-year-old here. I got that side of it, but you're also going like this. The Eagles are trying to develop a coach that they can work with.
Yeah, I don't think Nick wanted him to change. I think he was told very clearly that you have to stop that. It's time to grow up and be a head coach, or we're going to move on from you.
I think that's pretty awesome of the Eagles to allow that kind of coach to be in there and for them to go for him. I've never heard a coach talk like this.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I think they love him because they know that they can change. They know that they can mold him into be who they want him to be. So I don't look at it from that perspective. I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with it, but I don't have the same perspective as you that I'm giving them credit for keeping them. I think they kept them because they knew that they could turn him into whatever they wanted him to be.
Man, that's really a weak leader. It's a total weak leader. If that's how they're molding him, man, he should be molded by his team, not the owner. Your team molds you. Ever hear the comment? Your team represents what the coach's personality is.
Well, I don't entirely disagree with the owner. If I'm paying the head coach of a football team of grown men who are professionals, you can't be acting like a dumbass on the sideline. I'd want my team in better hands too, but I would do it a different way. That's all.
What did you make that between 17 and 20% more reps in camp? Now, this kind of goes along this. Well, if you're not going to play them in the exhibition, you're going to work them harder and you're going to work them longer. Xander, I'm like this. Look, okay. I mean, they obviously, all the players have said it. It's been one of the hardest camps that they've been through. Slay said it today as well. Lane said it. Every guy has said it. You're working harder. This had to be a directive too, because of the meltdown of a year ago of 23.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. I mean, that makes sense, but that's a good thing. I think it's a good thing that these guys are out there practicing. I don't think it was crazy. They didn't do anything, where you put them in harm's way. They got more reps this year, and it's good. They needed more reps. They're coming off a historic collapse in 2023. You can't just remove that from your memory because it's convenient. Everybody wants to forget about all the crappy things they did in their life. Well, guess what? You can't. It's a part of you. So you must learn from it and move on and correct it. Because if you hide behind it or you act like it never happened, you never allow yourself the opportunity to correct your mistakes. Most people in life, and this goes for more than just football, hide from the things they did wrong that they regret or that, make them embarrassed or whatever it might be. You can't hide from that crap. So I'm happy to know that they took a different approach this year. That shows that they recognize there was a problem. And if it was the other way around, I think it would be a lot worse. So to be honest, I think it's a good thing that they're doing that. And I think it's a good thing to recognize where you came up short and address it.
I'll tell you something. He said something really the final comment that he made at the presser, Nick Sirianni, today, I thought was really telling about Vic Fangio. And I loved it. And it made me think about why the players in Philly, Xander, are connecting better with him than the players in Miami. You have Chubb down there. You had Xavier Howard. You had Jalen Ramsey. And you had this old-style coach coming in there and doing this. Hey, this is what I want you to do. And those guys, when you have a veteran team like that, you're not going to go to a veteran guy. If a veteran guy was put 12 years or 9 years of tape like Jalen Ramsey, Vic Fangio's not going to fucking change him. And he's not going to go, I'm not doing that. That's not how it made me successful. I'm doing it this way. I think that the players of Philadelphia look at Vic Fangio and go, this guy's going to make me a better player. And one of the reasons that Hassan Reddick is not on the team and Bryce Huff is one simple factor. He's younger. Hassan Reddick did not want to do the things that Vic wanted. Look at what Huff's doing. How many times has Huff gone to the microphone and go, yeah, I'm working on being a run stopper. I'm working on covering. I'm working on being a 3-down guy. Vic says it's a work in progress. You think you could have talked to Hassan Reddick like that?
Yeah, I think I understand. I agree with your point. I agree with your point, but I don't think you're putting enough credit or giving enough credit to the type of guy that takes. Not forget the age for a second. I think the Eagles like a certain type of player. And like I don't think they love these big diva guys that are
open to coaching.
They like guys that are more humble, more grounded, more willing to listen to something like that. I mean, you talk about Jalen Ramsey. Did Jalen Ramsey not want to change because he's 30, or did he not want to change because he's arrogant in his ways?
I think that
because he's got a big ego, right? Yep. I mean, I'm not knocking Jalen Ramsey. I'm just saying that's a different type of a player, and that's where I disagreed with you in the past on your AJ Brown comments. Like AJ Brown has his problems, sure, but he never struck me as that type of guy that was too big for the conversation or was above any of the criticism or was above being coached. He never struck me as that. Maybe he wanted his money, and sure, every guy wants. I mean, you want your money? I want everybody wants their money. But that was the one thing I thought. The Eagles like a certain type of player. They like a more mature guy. And back to the Nick Sirianni point, it's the same thing with the coach. You need a mature guy. You want a guy who's willing to look in the mirror and understand where he came up short and correct it. So I think it's more of a credit to the type of player than the age. But I think you bring up a good point for sure.
Well, Jalen Ramsey won a Super Bowl with the Rams too. It's going to be hard to push a guy like that to do something completely different out of the. Hey, look, you know what? Jalen Ramsey is a press corner. Vic likes the deep cover 2 type guys, right? He likes the deep safety. He loves that deep defense. He loves that zone defense. That's not what he does. That's why I think when you have veteran guys, isn't it funny? An old school guy connects better with younger guys than he does with the older guys, because the younger guys, if Vic Fangio walked in my locker room, I'd be like this. This guy's been around for 35, 37 years. He's been a coordinator and he's been successful. He's going to fucking help me get into a position to win. I don't have enough equity in my career yet to go like this to Vic. Hey, Vic, I want to do it this way. Those guys don't have equity over there on that side of the ball to contradict them. Reddick did. Reddick's had 4 years straight. Only, like I said, Myles Garrett has done the things that he's done in sacking quarterbacks. I think it's a tougher sell to a guy like Reddick, and it's an easier sell to Huff.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, that part of it definitely makes sense. I would agree with that for sure. But, I think Huff also deserves credit to be willing to take the coaching and to, so. But no, you do bring up a good point. I agree with it for sure.
How about Barkley nicked up? Nothing, Burger. What happened last night?
I mean, why would that's not a nothing burger. I know it's not. It doesn't seem like it's anything big. I mean, they said today was more of a rest day for him, where he didn't participate in the team drills. But look, this is a guy that played a lot of football in college, played a lot of football in New York. He was
900 carries at Penn State.
900 carries at Penn. I mean, this is a guy that has been the focal point of his team for 9 years. 3 or 4 or 8 years, whatever it's been. You got to be concerned with that. There's a reason most running backs don't get those big second contracts, because most teams aren't willing to give them the money. And by the way, most times the teams are right.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Todd Gurley. Look at Le'Veon Bell. Look at some of these guys that got these massive deals that ultimately were nothing for their football teams. Todd Gurley's out of the league. When he was vying for that big contract, he was the best running back in the league by far. Le'Veon Bell had out a season to get a $50 million payday from the Jets. He did nothing.
Look what Zeke got with his second contract. Look what he gave.
Look at Zeke. He's a shell of himself. Ezekiel.
When he got that
He's a
deal,
shell of himself.
When he got that deal, he was never the same player.
Yeah, I'm not sounding the alarm on Barkley, but I'm saying you got it. I mean, to say it doesn't mean anything would be naive. It definitely means something. This is an older running back on his second contract. And by the way, he got a lot more touches than many of these guys got at college. I said one time Josh Jacobs didn't have his knee, and one guy clapped back at me in the comments. He's like, man, they ran him into the ground his junior year. He didn't start until the year he went to the NFL. He sat on the bench behind Derrick Henry and guys like that for 2 years. Saquon Barkley was the man in Penn State for 3 seasons. You got it. It does matter. So I think the Eagles are cautious of it. I think that's partly why they're, slowing him down a little bit in the practices here. And I wouldn't be surprised if they go slow with him earlier in the year. I really wouldn't. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yeah, and here's I'm awake or you goes, he'll be fine. Well, you're talking about a running back, like Xander says, in the last 4 years has had 2 injuries and 1 severe knee injury. You're not talking about a guy now, and I know it was a back, right, Xander? It was a back issue. Is that what they're saying it was? Or are we not?
Barkley? Yeah, well, I don't know. They didn't really say. They kind of rubbed it off.
Okay, so they hockeyed it.
And he was getting his back massaged or something, which is really the only thing you heard about it. But no, I think you're right. I mean, look, it matters to sit here and say, "Oh, don't worry about it. He'll be back." Is okay. That's fine. You can take that approach. But if you want to be real with yourself, yeah, this is a running back that has a lot of miles on the odometer. Is he going to break down soon? You're not buying a brand new car off the lot.
No,
you're picking up.
You're talking about a guy that's been banged up the last 4 years.
100K on it.
Yeah, no. So. You're talking about a guy who's been banged up 2 of the last 4 years. I mean, like you said, this is not a nothing burger here. What about Goddard missing practice again? Give me your thoughts.
In a way, it's the same thing, right? This is a guy who can't stay healthy. His problem has never been talent. It's always been staying on the football field. He's a physical player, which I love about him, but in a way, he's a little bit paper mache. Like last year, I think he got hurt he stiff armed somebody and got hurt. So, he's out there. He's another injury prone guy that I don't worry as much about him, because I don't think the offense relies on a guy like him. I think there's 3 guys. I think there's 5. I think there's 6 guys on the offense who are much more important than he is. Jalen, AJ, Devontae, and then I would put the 2 tackles and, take your pick of one of the other offensive linemen, whether it's the center or it's Landon Dickerson. I think they're all, if you lose them, it's a tougher hole to fill because we haven't used the tight end that much, especially in the Jalen Hurts era. I mean, Goddard's most yardage ever is like 800 yards. It's not crazy. You can make up that production. So I don't worry about him as much from that perspective, but yeah, I mean, you're right. He's missing practice again. Let's hope this guy can stay healthy this year.
I don't see 17 games with Dallas Goedert at all.
I don't know if I do either. I'm probably more on the Sileo side of things with that one.
12, 13. I'm thinking that he could probably
you might be able to make the same argument for Saquon Barkley.
Me too. That's what I think too. There's no way he plays 17 games. But man, if you got, and by the way, if it was injury a little bit earlier, I'm okay because the offense could carry the mail. As long as he's healthy going into December, November, December, January, that's when you're going to need that dude, man. You're going to need him in that stretch run when what if you've got to go to Green Bay in a playoff game? You know what I'm saying? What if hypothetically you got to go to Detroit's inside, but you got to
want to go to Green Bay in a playoff game.
Yeah, outside, and get this, your running back's not available. I mean, you're going to need a running game at Lambeau when you go up there in December. How about this thing here? Today's practice, the final practice, day 16. Seemingly, man, that Devin White has been used a ton in blitzing, and that they're blitzing the shit out of the kid. And they're going to try. Get this. You know why I bring this up is because the one thing that he has not been accused of the last 6 years is his ability not to get back into the backfield. You could question his tackling and his covering, but the one thing you can't question is him hitting people in the backfield and hitting people and quarterbacks. Vic, it shows Vic going to a guy's strength.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is one of those things that I'm going to want to see.
Yep.
Because Vic is a long time in this league, man, and he's never really been a blitzing guy. Now, I said that in a way on my morning show this morning. It was just me, and I'm like, this is either they're just practicing in it and Vic is going to be as 20% blitz like he normally is, or this is a sign that Vic is playing into his personnel. You've heard that Devin White's a great blitzer. You've even heard Nakobe Dean is better in blitzing. Is he playing to his personnel? And I think that's a fair take. That's a possibility. But like I said, it's going to be tough for me to go there until I see it. This is a guy he's not like he's 4 or 5 years. This isn't Kellen Moore. This is a guy who's been a defensive coordinator for 40 years. He's never been blitz happy ever. So to assume he's going to be now, I think would be naive, but you are right. It's interesting that he's done this in practice recently, and maybe it is. Maybe he is playing into his players a little bit more, which I think would be a good thing.
Swansky, I do think Kellen wants to do 2 tight end set. They just cut a guy. They cut OJ, the kid that they had backing up that they thought he was going to come in and play. So obviously Grant Katera is somebody that.
Yeah, it's a good point by Swansky, though. I mean, you're talking about wide receiver 3 a lot. We have here 10, 12 personnel is going to be a factor here. You just brought up the injury concern with Dallas Goedert. I mean, I like Grant Calcaterra, but the guy's one hit away from a career being done. I guess you can't legislate that, so you can't worry about it too much. But before we move on to Alex Petrosky's super chat, can we just get a look real quick at Grant Calcaterra's stats in the NFL? Because
it's been backup though, dude. I mean, then again, when he got in the game last year, late in the year, man, he was a non-factor.
He had 4 receptions for 39 yards last year.
That's not cutting it.
In the year.
Yeah, I got it.
I'm not trying to knock the player. Maybe he is a lot better. Maybe he can be better in a bigger role. But is that what we're going to go into the season relying on? I mean, Shonsky brings up a good point. Is the tight end a bigger need right now than the wide receivers? It's possible.
Yeah.
I mean, we've beaten the wide receiver 3 conversation to a pulp. I don't know.
Hey, Xander, since 2021, the tight end position has been unreliable.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, and the other part of it is that Kellen Moore is going to use the tight ends more than we have in the past. So is Goddard going to be able to hold up to a bigger workload this year than he's had in the last couple of years? If Calcaterra has a bigger role, is he going to be reliable at all? We're talking about 4 receptions for 39 yards.
I didn't really think that the tight end position is something that they may be looking at come cut down day around the league if they bring in another guy. Because you need durability at 2.
I'm with Twiz. I like EJ Jenkins. The problem is they're looking for a guy that can block, I think, and that's the fear with Calcaterra. Calcaterra can't block at all. He's more of a receiving tight end. Dallas Goedert does do both well. That's probably the biggest bonus for Dallas Goedert is that he's, very good at receiving, but he also can block very well. So
like Gronk could block.
Yeah, right, exactly. So let's pump the brakes.
No, it's same skill set.
Yeah, not like Gronk though. Okay,
no, it's not this. No. When I say that, I'm talking.
No, I know what you meant. I was just pumping the brakes. Joking.
Here, Alex says MetLife's turf is cursed. Hopefully, Saquon can stay healthy now since he'll be playing for once. For their once a season. Only playing one time there a season. So, yeah, but again, you got to go with what Xander just said, dude. The wear and the tires is already there.
Yeah, Petrosky, I hear what you're saying on the turf, man, but that's not the only
wear is
factor.
there.
Yeah, that's not the only factor here, man. I mean, look, I appreciate the super chat. I appreciate the comment, and I think where you're going is a fair spot to go. But I would argue that the relevance of that is not big when you're talking about a running back who had 900 carries in college alone, and then got to the NFL as the 2nd overall draft pick, and was the only player worth anything on that offense for 4 years. Really, was it 5 years? They picked up the 5th-year option, and then they gave him, was it 6 years? It might have been 6 years.
Yep.
Was it 6 years in New York for Saquon? Because they franchise tagged him too, and they gave him a 5th-year option.
Was it?
Let me look it up.
I don't remember. They did. They gave him a 6-year? No way.
Let me get the stats.
I thought when his deal came
up,
he
played 6 years in New York, brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then they did. They picked up the option.
Now,
then
2020, he had 2 games played because he missed the season, remember? Yep. So you could maybe argue, all right, he had 5 years of wear and tear. But ready for the carry numbers?
Yeah, I bet they're rookie year near 300.
Rookie year, 261.
Oof.
217, 19 because he got hurt in that second game, right? 162 in 21, 295 in 22, and 247 in 23.
And he carried the ball
1,200 carries.
And he carried the ball at Penn State over 300 carries for the years he was there every year for 3 years.
Boy, I don't want to crap on everybody's parade. I don't want to turn into John McMullen in one day here, but yeah, I mean, there's reason to be concerned about Saquon Barkley for sure.
Xander, I'm going to pull a question that they've been doing at the press conference, and I'm going to ask you, and I'm not going to put Hurts in the conversation. One guy on offense you think is going to have a spectacular year?
Well, can I take the easy route?
Sure.
A.J. Brown. I'll take
A.J. Brown again.
Route. I'll take Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is a
I said not name Jalen, but okay. Jalen.
Okay, not name Jalen. Yeah. Easy route is A.J. Brown. If you want me to be bold, I'll say Dallas Goedert because I think Kellen Moore is going to work the tight end a lot more in. Umberto brings up a good one, but he's another obvious one to me. Devontae Smith. I just think A.J. Brown's so good. He's going to be a focal point. And like I said, it's kind of an easy answer. I mean, A.J. Brown is that good. So
how about on defense?
On defense, I don't want to go too easy, guy. I was going to say Jalen Carter, but shit. I mean, of course he's going to be good. You know what? I'll go bold on this one. I think Quinyon Mitchell has a big year this year. I think he. I'm not going to say he's going to be Sauce Gardner year one level, but I'm going to say he's going to be comparable. I'm going to say he's going to be our undisputed cornerback number 2 that we can not only out there, but a guy that we can rely on, a guy that we're comfortable with him being on the field. I'm not talking about a rookie that you're like, oh, he's still a rookie. Give him some time. He's a liability out there.
So you think he has a Sauce Gardner rookie year?
I said I didn't want to go that far, but I think maybe 70% of that, 60% of that, somewhere in that range.
That's exceptional.
Yeah, I think he's going to be that good. So that's who I'll go with on defense.
Finally here, this super chat by Disciple. Maybe Saquon can go see Adrian Peterson's doctor in Brazil because Adrian Peterson recovered like an alien after the ACL tear. He was a freak of nature. There's no question about it. I appreciate that, disciple. Xander, man, I mean, I people were saying that, there's 2 days in a row because they pulled him out of a drill yesterday after I think they were taking blocking and pass probe, and he didn't play today. I think you're right. I think they're probably going to taper him down and get him ready for Green Bay and start the process for that. But that's something to keep an eye on. You guys are doing a special Birds 365 show right after the program, correct?
Yes, sir. 6 to 8 p.m. tonight. We'll be live on Birds 365, and then back to our regular scheduled programming tomorrow and Friday.
Xander, where are we at in the likes, brother?
Let me double check for you, brother. 221, good number. 222, so good number right now. Thanks, everybody, for the likes, for the super chats. We appreciate it, man. You guys have been great, as always.
Absolutely. Keep hitting it. We appreciate it. Let's see if we can get to 250 by the end of the program. We'll reset. Xander, we'll catch you right after the program. Tell John we said hi. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sil.
You got it. All right, folks, hit that like button. Do me a favor. Keep it here, National Football Show.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
Heading down the shore. Have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood day.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
They're carving them up and good play calling along the way. First and goal at the 6.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Win and save this baseball season from Colony Pools and Power Washing, a local company serving Delaware, Delco, and Chester County since 1970. Are you tired of looking at your green house? Is your roof, siding, deck stained green from algae and mold? Let the experts pressure wash your home and take the pressure off of you. Win with Colony Pools and Power Washing. Call them now at 302-762-2250. That's 302-762-2250.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Stills National Football Show. We appreciate you guys coming aboard. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. I can't tell you enough. I mean, seriously. Thank you guys again. I mean, there's so many options out there for you guys to be able to go somewhere else, and we appreciate it again. Please hit the like button. Let's see if we can get to 250. Thank you so much. We're going to reset here in a second. 16 days out until you play the Packers. By the way, one more thing here. We're going to get to Lane Johnson and Jalen Hurts comments. I do want to talk about that, but I want to say something about Brian Flores and Tagovailoa. So Tagovailoa called Brian Flores, the defensive coordinator of the Minnesota Vikings, a horrible man, doing the Dan Le Batard show. What's weird about that is that Brian Flores' lawsuit against the NFL and Stephen Ross is going to be heard in the next 13 days. I don't have a problem with some player giving his assessment of a coach that he had under the reins of that football team. And he didn't like the way that coach's style was. But when you're a freaking mouthpiece for an owner of the team and you take that side because now you're Stephen Ross's boy because he gave you your contract and you got a lawsuit coming up. This was done to take people's eye off the ball, that they sabotaged Brian Flores as a head coach in Miami. Now you've got the face of the franchise saying he's a horrible man. And 13 days from now, the lawsuit against Stephen Ross is going to be heard by an arbitrator. You think the timing's funny? I find that unbecoming a Tagovailoa. He should stay the fuck out of it. You took and threw shade at Brian Flores where you didn't need to. You got your money. You got your starting position in Miami. And for you to take a shot at that guy out of nowhere, because there's a lawsuit out there, because the owner, you're looking to help the owner in his lawsuit against him, is unbecoming of a face of a franchise. I mean, I thought Brian Flores answered it. He didn't deny it. He said, I got to work at being a better communicator. I got to work at doing better things. I've got to work, and I'm sorry that he felt that way, and I don't want anyone to think that way of me. Am I that? No, I'm paraphrasing here. I thought Brian Flores answered it correctly. I thought he answered it professionally. Okay? Tua has been extended. Tua got his money, Yale. Okay? He did get his money. He got his money. So Tagovailoa took it upon himself to take a shit on a guy who's not been in the building for 2 years. I mean, well, JM goes, Flores is a snitch for what? Saying that the owner and the general manager were conspiring to lose football games and offered to pay him to throw games so they can have a better draft pick? Yeah. Why would Brian Flores want to go for having his career sabotaged? Fuck yeah, I'd say it. Right there in a nutshell. Shows you why the Dolphins are poorly run. And you got a horrible owner in Stephen Ross, the art collector, who listens to WFAN and thinks that that's sports talk for Miami and what Miamians want for that football team. He's destroyed it. The Dolphins have never been relevant in his ownership. He's never been relevant. And Tua got his money. He's a bought and paid for lapdog. I have no respect for Tagovailoa now. None. Even if that's true, isn't it old news? How many times you guys get in my shit about telling me about last year? Why would Tagovailoa go out of his way 2 years removed from a story when 13 days from now that lawsuit's going to be heard by an arbitrator and is going to rule whether or not to move forward with a case against the league in a lawsuit that Brian Flores is saying that the owner of the team was conspiring with Chris Greer to throw football games. Throw games? That's the integrity of the league at stake. That's integrity of the league. Throwing games? JM, I don't care shit what you think. Tua is a worm. No reason for that. Even if you freaking hate your coach, what's the point? You got your money. You're the starting quarterback. You got a coach who likes you, I think. Organization gave you your money. What's the point of this? Because he wanted to do and help the owner in his lawsuit. Only reason. There's absolutely no other reason for it. Okay? Are you saying the NFL's rigged? Okay. So the NFL's rigged, but a guy can't bet on turtle races like Calvin Ridley. He can't bet on like turtle races or like cockroach races because it's gambling. And you're trying to tell me the league is rigged. Okay. Sure. Okay. If I'm the player, I would help the owner who paid me. Steve. So, Steve, you would help destroy a guy's opportunity at becoming a coach. He's black, just in case you don't know. He's a black coach. How many black coaches get second opportunities? How many black coaches get second opportunities to coach in the league? 2. You know what I'm saying? No. Warrior goes, Flores tried to destroy Tua, if you mean. No. Flores tried to trade for Lamar Jackson, bring him home to South Florida. That's what he wanted to do. And the organization didn't want to pay that. And they didn't want to bring Lamar down. Flores wanted, I know this because I know the people around Lamar. He's a South Florida kid. Okay? Right? Twist thinks an opinion is pandering. I don't even know what that word means. I have no idea what pandering means. You know why? Because words like that, I don't have in my vocabulary. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. No idea. I speak what's on my mind, kid. I don't sit here and hope it gets you in a tizzy or some shit. Twiz and fucking Cherry Hill gets upset because Sills made a comment or a take that might have. Yeah, okay. That's what I do. I lay in bed wanting to upset weirdo Twiz. Unbelievable. I mean, you're out of your mind sometimes. Okay? Unbelievable. All right. They put the veteran guys front and center today. They put the veteran guys to close out camp front and center. Okay? So Daniels comes on as a coach and turns Tua around. Flores didn't want Tua, and that's the issue. Cody, Brian Flores won ball games down there and turned the culture of the franchise around. He turned the franchise around. They started winning games with Brian Flores. Before Brian Flores showed up down there in Miami, can you tell me a coach who had been winning games? Can you tell me? I don't remember that. The last coach to win a playoff game is Dave Wannstedt. So you're going to have to go a little deeper and finding me a coach that was making an impact to turn the Dolphins around. The Fins have blown for 20 years. Not sure what you're talking about. No, Dave Wannstedt's actually the last coach to win a playoff game. I mean, you don't think the timing's weird? Oh, okay. 13 days from now, 2 weeks, there's going to be an arbitration case. And Tagovailoa calls Brian Flores a horrible man. You know, I know coaches And I don't know him that well where I would go, that guy's a horrible man. I've never heard that. Brian Flores is a horrible man. Have you ever heard a quarterback say that about another coach? I'm not sure I ever heard that. Let's first go with Lane. Boy, I'll tell you here. Let me give you my. Hey, how many years is this now for Lane Johnson? What year is he starting this year for the Eagles? What's the year he's starting? It's got to be what? 12? 13? Is this 12 or 13 for Lane Johnson? 2014. So you're talking 12 years here. Swansky, is it 12? Or Yale says it's 14. So talking like 11 or 12, something like that. Here's my takeaway with Lane. I just absolutely love the way he plays ball. Is he a first ballot Hall of Famer? No. Is he a second? Yes. The tackle that you had there forever is a first ballot. He's a first ballot. Is he as good as him? No. Is he a Trent Williams? No. Is he a second ballot? Yes. And by the way, I'm on many of those boards and on many of the Hall of Fame voters when it comes to putting the information together for the Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame follows me on my Twitter too, by the way. And I'm in the process of putting together next year's for a lot of the voters like Jarrett Bell, Jason Cole, Howard Balzer. I can go down the list. There's 50 voters, and I probably work on 25 of them when it comes to putting the information together. Jason Peters is a way better tackle. Not way. He's a better tackle than Lane. Lane's a Hall of Famer. So when you say better and you're talking Hall of Famer, there's only 300 men that are players in the Hall of Fame. There's 300 players. So don't get your panties in a bind. Michael Irvin wasn't a first ballot. Numerous guys were not first ballot Hall of Famers. Okay? Yeah, that's right. And that's one of the distinctions that Yale's making. He's a left tackle. Left tackles always get priority. Ron Yeri was a right tackle. There's very few right tackles. I think Forrest Gregg may have been a right tackle as well. That's right. The real Zeal. This is why he's not a first ballot. The majority of the tackles that go into the Pro Football Hall of Fame are left tackles, not right tackles. The one thing that you really get from him and the entire group, I'm going to get to the entire group and what Lane said today, but just my overall take on him. Legendary career. He could arguably go down as the best homegrown tackle O-lineman. Let me think. In the last 50 years. Have you had a better lineman? Trey Thomas was awful good. Anybody better in the last 50 years? Because they protect the blind side, Abe. And they're paid more. Let's see. I don't think there's anybody better in the last 50 years that was homegrown than Lane Johnson. So I would say I would say Lane is the best in the last 50 years. Tremendous player. I love his game. I love how he plays. You know what you're getting in listening to him talk? This is what you get with this offensive line. Listen to the John. Hey, Runyon was a trade, correct. Listen what he said, talking about Becton. He goes, Becton's a great athlete. He's got phenomenal feet. He's got great athleticism inside there. And you can tell by just watching him move. So this is what you have in the Eagle O-line. You got a rugby player that plays left tackle. You got a center that's turned himself into one of the top 3 left guards in the league. You've got a right tackle. You got a center right now who looks that could be you want to hear something crazy. Cam Jurgens might actually be an upgrade to Jason Kelce. Athletic wise. He might be an upgrade. Now, up here, the game, the knowledge, absolutely not. But physically, he may be better apt. I thought Jason Kelce ran out of gas last year. He ran out of gas. He even said it. He ran out of gas. He's younger. Now, again, all that upstairs, you lose that with all that upstairs. Absolutely. And does that offset one another? Yes. Jason Kelce not being out there breaking balls. But look at it. Like I said, Lane was a former tight end. Becton's a great athlete. Cam looks like he's a good athlete. Landon looks like an outstanding guard. And you got another athlete over on the left side who didn't even play football 7 years ago. That's pretty damn good, dude. That's pretty damn good. All athletes, not just big fat guys. All good athletes. Pretty good, man. He says the blitz protection and blitz zero has been a number one priority when it comes to what they've been working on in camp. Hey, Sills, did you ever tell us who the best O-lineman you ever played against was? Bruce Matthews has to be in there. Mike Munchak. Don Mosbar. I never had a problem with Randy Cross. Probably Bruce. He was so big and so agile. Bruce Matthews made all-pro at center, guard, and tackle. That's how great he was. That's how great a player he was. Yes, and that's Clay Matthews' brother. And that's Clay Matthews Jr. I think that's his uncle. And they all went to Southern Cal. Mike Munchak was outstanding. He was just outstanding of a player. Mike Webster was on the back end of his career. He was finished. I couldn't believe how light he was when I grabbed him. Threw him on the ground. I mean, I couldn't believe it, but he was finished. I mean, that wasn't Mike Webster, Steeler Mike Webster. He was just like beat up. I thought Tom Rafferty was pretty good, but I had my way with him when we were in camp and I'd practice against him. He never gave me any problems. And plus you could bull rush him. He was a little dude. I thought Kevin Glover was good from the Lions. Kevin was a former teammate of mine with the Maryland Terrapins my freshman year when I was at Maryland. And we were teammates when we won the ACC. He was a good football player. He was good. Lane Johnson thinks he could play another 2-3 years at a high level. He says he thinks he could play until he's 40, but he thinks 2-3 more years, and he's going to evaluate it after 3 years. Okay? Damn, I didn't know the Matthews family had a strong lineage to the NFL. Thanks, Sills. Abe, I think the grandfather and the father played. I think the father played. Clay Matthews played with my cousin Pazzulli with the Browns, and I think their father played in the league prior to that. And there's Matthews everywhere. Dwight Stevenson, great call, handsome. Stevenson, his first part of his career before the knee injury that Marty Lyons caused, was the best center that I've ever seen. When I played against him, that knee injury had taken a toll on him. And he wasn't the same. I mean, you could power him a little bit in the power rush, but one of the truly great players that Alabama ever produced was Dwight Stevenson. What a great football player, man. But he was never really the same after the knee injury that he had. Prior to that, nobody could get around him. I mean, think about this. Alabama produced Dwight Stevenson and John Hanna within kind of like a 10-year window. And those were two of the greatest players at that respected position in the league at the time when they were in the league. John Hanna. I didn't play against Hanna. That was a little bit before my time. But I did play against Dwight. Two absolutely sensational Alabama players. I mean, John Hanna was the offensive lineman of his decade. And Dwight Stevenson was probably the center of his decade. I think Dwight's in the Hall of Fame, too, if I'm not mistaken. But he was just never the same. The majority of the NFL is nepotism. Coaches drafting players, and they recruited and such. Honestly, I really think it's a rare skill that wins out. Well, you don't say that with the Matthews family, because every one of those guys are Pro Bowlers. Clay Matthews actually should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. 98 class, thank you, handsome. And get this, he was another guy that didn't, I don't know if he played 10 years because of that injury. Let's get to Jalen Hurts. Let's get to Hurts. I thought it was really peculiar how he started. By the way, guys, please hit the like list. Give me a number where we are right now, too. I'd like to see if we can get to 250 by the end of the program. You guys are killing it. I thought it was really odd. The first question out of the gate was, and we've been talking about it, hey, you okay with not playing in the exhibition season at all? And he said, hey, look, Jeffrey, and then he corrected himself and said, Mr. Laurie, Howie, and then through Nick. 362, fantastic. See if we get to 300, guys. At the bottom of the hour, we might have 38 in us to get to 300. And the way they've practiced and how hard they've practiced kind of maybe offsets it a bit, you know? He said this. He says, I'm processing things. I'm working on everything. I got to be the best I possibly can. There's no question Jalen Hurts has made an effort at football IQ. This is what Brady worked on, more so than even his body, was his football IQ. Dude, what keeps you in the league is your football IQ, not your ability. How smart are you football-wise? How smart are you to be able to process the information? I'll tell you, he's been given a pretty good list of checkdowns for him in his career so far because he's had to adapt every year he's been a pro. Can you imagine that? Having a boss every year, new, with different fundamentals, different skill sets, different terminology. It would be frustrating. but he's handled it calmly. You know, I mean, I do believe that there's a sense of calmness with him this year, it seems. I wonder if that really does have a lot to do with Kelsey not being in the building. Because even when he talks, he's different. He said this, he's different in 2024. You know what he doesn't want? He doesn't like the reporters bringing up anything about 23. Somebody brought up his health. Jalen, you look like you're in a better place right now in 24, health-wise. And Jalen kind of cut short by saying, hey, I thought I told you. And then he stopped because I don't think he wanted to talk down to any media guy. But he wants to put 23 away. Kudos. Short-term memory. Short-term memory loss. You know, anything you think about it. He wants to move forward. You know, you're in a new sphere now. You're in a new place. He thinks all that negative shit is just going to drag his ass down. Hey, he's talking like a leader. He is. Asked a question about handling situations, and he goes, and I think this is a reflection about what he said when it came to adversity and what happened a year ago. He says it's how you handle adversity. Do you have the answers for things when they're not going well? I think Jalen Hurts didn't have the answers for things a year ago. I don't think the entire coaching staff did. I don't think the players did. And I think that's been a priority for him. When things go south, I want to feel like I know what I can do to get us dug out of problems. All the stuff that you're hearing him say now is nothing to do with on the field, but it applies on the field because it's how he sees the game now. He says this, he goes, a lot of mental work. You imagine hearing that comment out of Kyler Murray's mouth? I don't think I've ever heard that. A lot of mental work. You know how many people want to push their time card and then go home? You know, they don't want to do the extra intangibles that it takes to be a champion. Jalen was asked about the defense, and he said, you know what? I tell you what, man, they're complex, multiple fronts. I'm constantly talking to the guys on the other side of the field. What did you see? What did I see? I mean, you know, giving some tips, giving me some tips. That football team's communicating with one another. He's always asking questions to the defensive guys. What did you see that I did here? Vice versa. And the players come up there. By the way, the one thing that is definitely noticeable right now about Jalen Hurts is that he's accessible to his teammates. Jeff Kerr on the Birds 365 said a year ago, he wasn't. That's Jeff Kerr saying that. Who's in the locker room. He wasn't as accessible. It looks like he is a priority that he's going to be accessible. Okay? Abe brings a point up here. And I'll show you why, Abe. This will be a reflection of Nick. Majority of sports outlets this year is going to be Hurts and Moore leaving Nick in the dark. What's going to be a priority, though, that you're not going to understand is that if Nick and everything works, Nick would have accomplished every single thing that ownership wanted him, along with how he wanted him to accomplish this year. How do you fire him? If Nick gets that football team into the NFC Championship, Kellen's successful, Chandler's successful, why are you firing him? What would be your reasoning? Because you don't want to let Moore go? So you're going to fire a guy who's been to the playoffs 4 years in a row. And 2 NFC Championship games and a Super Bowl. Say they get knocked out in the NFC title game. He'll get a job in a second. I mean, he didn't fail. And actually, he's being told what to do, and he's following suit, and he's a soldier. No question, if Nick has a down season, there's no question they'll fire his ass. But if he doesn't, which many of you saying, Xander thinks they're going to win 14 games. Well, if they win 14 ball games, and he's got 2 14-win seasons in 3 years, not a chance in hell they're firing him. There's no chance in hell they're going to fire that guy. No way. 13. Dickhead. Okay. See? Sticks and stones. Big Sills is not a sensitive guy like some people. I'm more of a level-headed type human. That's me. You know, I'm a pacifist now. Oh, boy. See here. Hurts is in a better place, he says now, than he was last year when it comes to his health. There's more balance, he says, in what he's seeing with the offense. He goes like this. He goes, yeah, there's just more balance. You know, Doug, myself, and Kellen. You know, the only time he mentioned Nick was at the opening of his media session. He never mentioned Nick again. He mentioned Doug a couple times, and he mentioned Kalen a lot of times. What's that tell you? Nick has no... Dude, they gave this guy... I mean, Nick Sirianni's either a eunuch or this guy got circumcised again. As man, holy cow. He never brings his name up. It's Doug and it's Kellen. Okay. And I mean, holy cow. This guy got snipped. Holy shit. How you doing? Okay. Sills, what makes everyone think Kellen will be a good head coach? Plenty of good OCs fail when they become head coaches, when they have more responsibility. It's true. Well, hey, Twiz, wasn't Kellen Moore in the process of interviewing for the head coaching job with the Eagles? And by the way, to your point, Twiz, he's been fired 2 years in a row. He's been canned 2 years in a row. So, I mean, you know. Now, I think it was you, Twiz. Harbaugh was going to move off whoever was the OC anyway. He's going to bring his own people in there no matter what it was. And they wanted to move off of him in Dallas. Actually, the Dallas situation a year ago does not make Kellen look good. Because when they moved off of him, Dak had his best year. Now, the offense was number one under him twice, Kellen Moore in Dallas. So, you know, he could always fire back. Hey, I made the quarterback better. And then they were tops in scoring. So, Twiz, no, I don't know if he's going to be a good head coach or not. I know this. That's what they're looking for, is somebody like Moore, young, works with analytics. Hey, by the way, Kellen Moore is auditioning every time he gets in front of the microphone to be a head coach in this league. You know why? He mentions Howie. Vic never mentions Howie. Vic doesn't mention anybody but Vic. I don't give a shit what my assistant coaches think. I don't care. They're all going to be down there on the field. I'm going to be the only one in the box. I'll have a spotter with me, and that's all I need. Okay. Oh, all right, Vic. Everybody, they'll be conveying what I want. We're not going to have guys up here telling me what they see. I don't give a shit about that. Do you think, and Samuel says this, do you think Jalen will try to move away from the dual threat identity to something more substantial? And do you think that will work for him? Samuel. Okay. Let's take Philadelphia Eagle history. Samuel, how did that work out for McNabb when Donovan started or stopped running? How did that work for McNabb? How did that work for him? Once he stopped running and wanted to show people that he could be a pocket passer. Okay? It didn't. Well, here, Forrest, once he stopped running, how did his career go over the next 5 years after that? How many? So you think once he's, get this, was Donovan McNabb a better quarterback once he stopped running? Yes or no? So once again, was he better when he stopped running? Was he better? He was not better. He was not a better player. You can say all you want. He wasn't. So now they're going to do the same here to Jalen. They're going to take, well, let me ask you this. When they made Carson Wentz, hey, Bruce, when they made Carson Wentz stop running, what did that do to his career? You could either say Los Angeles or the Seattle playoff game. When he stopped running, Wentz, what did that do to his career? And he stopped using his legs. Abe says this. To understand the game in the simplest form, and football has evolved, no doubt about it, but so has defensive schemes, which can eliminate most of the throwing plays happening. Yeah, I mean, these defensive coordinators are insane. He was, get this. Here's another guy here, and yet he's the all-time leading passer in Eagle history for a single season and touchdowns. And he's the only guy to throw for $4,000 in the team's history. Okay. Okay. I saved this topic for the end. I did. Today was the final day of training camp. A lot of things went into training camp. By the way, overall synopsis, I think it was a really good camp for the entire team. Young guys got better. Old guys were preserved. Jalen looks like he's ready to go for the 24 season, whatever that means. Nick looks like a new role. The coordinators are kind of looking like they fit. So here is my final Big Sills prediction on the Eagles 2024 season. I had told you that that's a 7-9 team because of the defense. And until further noticed, will the Eagles pull out of their slump of a year ago? Or make that just a blemish on what has been a really good 3 years? Okay? Let's see what 500 says here. Mark is already making videos crying he's getting picked on. He can't take it. He's a Cowboy fan. Like Xander said, how easy is it to beat a Cowboy fan today? All you have to do is do this. Dak, playoffs. There's really nothing more to that. Dak, playoffs. Good night. So I'm going to first do this, and I hope behind the scenes here, my boy Xander. Xander, you're still sticking to 13 wins. Final day of training camp. Has camp changed your mind in any way? I'll tell you if it's changed mine. Okay? I'll tell you if it's changed mine. Packers and playoffs. Aaron Rodgers is still their daddy. Dez says 10. 10 wins, says Dez. You got 10 wins, Daz, huh? Or Dez? This is the final prediction for the upcoming season for me. For 2024. Cosmo's got 11. Steve's got 12. Jack's got 11. Yippee has got 13. 20-0 until proven otherwise. Look at him giving the benefit of the doubt of the shitty ending. Shit, you can make the comment. 1-7 until proven otherwise. You're only as good as the last games you played. Not some hypothesis or some guesswork. 12-13. 12-5. All right. Hey, Twiz, how do you go from that? How do you just ignore what happened? To assume it's going to be better with newer players and less experience on defense. How do you say that? It's crazy. Is that the optimist in you? No doubt my team could beat anyone except New York. I feel Isaiah and Mitchell are going to be a good combo. Looks good. Does. New season? Yeah. With more unknowns. Agreed. Bruce has got 10 wins. I said 7-9. Have I changed my opinion? In cement, I will do this. I've got the Philadelphia Eagles because of their outstanding camp winning 9 games. I gave you 2 more. 9-7. I think you're a 9-7 football team. Okay? I think they've shown that they've had a good camp. I'm going to give them the benefit of the camp. I'll up it 2. And I'll say 9-7. Okay? Not 7-9. So we'll go 9-7. Okay? Oh, excuse me. 9-8. You're right. 9-8. I forgot. 9-8. That's right. Thank you, Sue. Holy cow, still stuck in 16 games. But what's next? The Astros are still in the National League. 9-8. There you go. That is the final prognosticating. I can't wait to get Angelo on because he's still stuck at 5, I think. We'll have to get his view. I say 10-7 is the floor. I got 9-8 as your record. Let me take a time out here. Please hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
Heading down the shore. Have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood days.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
They're carving them up and good play calling along the way. First and goal at the 6.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Win and save this baseball season from Colony Pools and Power Washing, a local company serving Delaware, Delco, and Chester County since 1970. Are you tired of looking at your green house? Is your roof, siding, deck stained green from algae and mold? Let the experts pressure wash your home and take the pressure off of you. Win with Colony Pools and Power Washing. Call them now at 302-762-2250. That's 302-762-2250.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sills National Football Show. Hey, we got right around the corner here. We have Birds 365 that we're going to get to here in a second. Where are we on the like list here? What do we end up with? What we end up with here on the like list here? You guys really killed it again. I can't thank you guys enough, man. You guys absolutely smoked it here. Take the bet, Sills. What bet? 14 wins? No way. No way. 280. Wow. Guys, please hit the like button. Let's see if we can maybe end the program. Xander's got to get ready for Birds 365. So, guys, we really appreciate it. Minnesota's right around the corner. We are 16 days away from the start of the National Football League season. Guys, thank you again. I can't thank you enough. Stay tuned for a special edition of Birds 365. Please hit the like button. Xander, Joe, thank you. 2 to 6 tomorrow, and we shall see you on the flip side.